stay out of the kitchen. Nobody's in the kitchen. It's all great. See, that was a different joke.
You can't
so we
go
got
into
the line.
kitchen.
Can't touch the line. Okay, that makes sense.
Can't be inside the line.
Inside the line.
Right.
That makes sense, unless the ball is inside the line.
You can go in to play it, but then you got to come back out to play it. By the way, there's a 50% chance everything I'm saying is wrong.
Are people standing right in front of the line? Is that, if you're playing doubles, is it one here, one there?
Okay, I like this question because that's what I was trying to figure out yesterday because we were just playing singles. We weren't playing doubles. Mm-hmm. So I think you're right. I think the whole idea is to set up two people on the line because there's not a lot of room. And you can't, like, in tennis, so you can play a lob over somebody's head and they got to go back. There's no room to lob the ball back there. Yeah. And the wiffle ball doesn't really go anywhere. So I don't know. I'm gonna continue.
So are people just, is like part of the strategy hitting the ball as hard as you can at the person? Like there's a good chance that, or is the court too small that it's going over?
That.
So there's some skill.
It's kind of halfway in between those things. There are times to hit it right at somebody because they won't be able to move. But there's also that if you hit it up around the shoulders, just duck out of the way and it's going to go out. The court's tiny. It's a really small court. I'm basically a coach.
I'm kind of into it. Like, I'm in a weird way. I know I've never still played. And I know I still haven't bought a paddle. But it's an interesting, because I like ping pong and because I like tennis, I think I'm kind of going to like this.
I've never been happier with an analogy that I've come up with. It literally is the perfect halfway point between those two things. It's the court's really small. Mm-hmm. I'd forgotten how small it is. Like, even somebody super out of shape and slow like me can cover most of the court if I just stand in the middle. You got to move them side to side. There's a little bit of that thing in there. It's fun. It's a good time.
You're like you're like the meta of pickleball. You're just you're all over the court. You pick up full court.
Nope.
Nobody wants to
just behind that line, hoping to get a quick smash and get the heck out of there and end the point.
You're the Dennis Rodman of pickleball.
That's probably closer, I think. But I'm not much of a defensive specialist, or I don't know what the rebounding equivalent of pickleball would be. Who's the 10th guy on the Lakers? Maybe no, that's not good enough. Give me like the 11th or 12th guy.
Max Christie.
No, he's getting PT.
Now
he's really truthfully Cole Swider.
Okay, I'm that.
Yeah,
I'm Cole Swider of this team. Somebody that unless you're really into it, you don't know. You don't know.
Good pull from Emily there, going Max Christie. I like that.
LeBron played 37 minutes last night, and here's what Darvin Ham had to say about it.
It is a concern, and we have, my staff and I, we talk about it all the time, but it's just tough, man, because he's such a competitor, and we're in these games, and, he wants to win, we want to win, so you kind of lose sight of the minutes until you come back and see the stat sheet after the game. You're like, oh, hell.
Yeah, oh, hell pretty much covers that because he played 37 minutes. He was 32, 9, and 8, which is great. It's another bananas night for LeBron, and we can talk about whether we're appreciating that to the degree that we should. But the problem I have, Al, he was 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter. He played 37 minutes. This is his 20th year in the league. I know that no one takes better care of themselves physically than LeBron James does. It's his 20th year in the league. We've seen him the last week or so, in the fourth quarter and overtimes really struggle getting the ball in the hoop. And last night's a good example of it. It's you can't. I know that you have to win. We talked about it yesterday. That just kind of wait till the cavalry comes and saves you. You don't have the luxury of doing that right now. But if you're playing LeBron nearly 40 minutes a night, he's going to break at some point. It's just not going to work.
All right. So it's actually kind of the worst case scenario for the Lakers this year. Okay. Anthony Davis has now missed 17 games in a row. There's a good chance that AD will probably miss another 7-8 games. That's if he's coming back February 1st or somewhere along those lines. Bron is averaging this year, minutes-wise, 36 minutes per game. So whatever stat you just gave about what he was doing yesterday, it's every game. It's not
pretty regular.
There was nothing unique about yesterday's game. You could say that game against the Dallas Mavericks where he played like 47, 48 minutes, that was unique because it was a double overtime game. The problem is, if I'd have told you that, honestly, if I'd have told you what the worst case scenario is coming into the season, Lakers have played 45 games. They got 37 games left this year. And the workload on LeBron James in these first 45 games is ridiculous. You go back, go look at what Kobe was playing in his 20th year, what Tim Duncan, what Dirk. Forget their stats. Just look at how many minutes they were playing. They're not playing 36 minutes a night. On top of that, you're losing these games. So it's not even that Bron is putting in the 36 minutes and you're saying to yourself, well, we really needed this W. You needed it down the stretch. They've lost 3 of these last 4 games. They've lost by a total of 10 points.
Right.
So not only is he putting in the minutes, not only is he putting in the mileage, not only are the Lakers in these close games where they have no what to put him in, but where are they going in the standings? They're going the opposite direction, right? So I go back to this, the worst case scenario for the Lakers was everything is still on Bron's back. AD has missed 17 in a row. I'm not sure when he's going to. Let's say he comes back in another 7-8 games. Okay, so now what? Now it's AD. Now you take over. We hand the baton over there. We'll see what happens if that's the case. But
you're still going to have to play LeBron heavy minutes even with AD.
Of course you are, right? Yeah. Of course you are. But this has been one of those stretches where you're now 45 games in, 37 games left to go. You're 20-25. You're 13 in the Western Conference, and Bron is playing all these minutes. It's not, hey, Bron played all these minutes, but the Lakers are 25-20, that they're kind of still in the mix here, and then AD is going to come back, is going to capital. There's a luxury and there's a necessity. It's been a necessity for him to be there, and there's been no luxury so far this year.
So, best case scenario, tell me if this is right. AD's back beginning of February. Is that probably about?
Yes, that's the best case scenario.
Best case scenario. So that's 7 games between now and then.
Go look at and point out who they're playing.
There's really only one. Okay, that's a game that's probably
Spurs?
tilting your way. The Spurs,
Yep.
right? And I'm not going to give you a home and a road. It's Memphis, Portland, Clippers, Spurs, Celtics, Brooklyn, Knicks, Indiana. Mm-hmm. Those are your next 7 games.
Then New Orleans after that.
And then
too.
New Orleans after that. But then you're kind of almost into that second week of February. So I'm just going to that first game in February. That's the next 7 games. That leaves them 30 games on their schedule. That'll be 52 games in. Let's say they go 2-5 through these next 7 games, which feels
they
possible.
Win at Portland. They beat the Spurs.
Okay, there's 2-5. Mm-hmm. Maybe they go 3-4. Maybe they go 1-6. I think 2-5 seems about right. You're 12 games under 500 at that point, with 30 games to go.
They're 5 under right now.
Yeah.
If they go, you said
2-5.
2-5, so 3 more.
Yeah.
So you're 8 games below 500.
I'm sorry, 8 games. Yeah. You're right. 8 games under 500, which means you got to go 8 over in your last 30.
To be 41-41.
To be 41-41. They're in a weird spot where before this whole, when Anthony Davis gets back, we'll see where you could be buried before you even get there.
Are we now just, it's kind of funny. Remember how they were
We're
playing?
back to the beginning.
Well, remember how, that's
we're back
great
to the,
with the 2-10.
We're back to the beginning.
That's the 2-10. But
yes.
Actually what's happening now is what we just assumed was going to happen when AD got injured. And they floated for a little bit, right? And now I think the means is you're getting to what the average is or what it should be. You're starting to get towards that stretch.
Well, the floating that you're talking about, right, where they were a little bit better than I think people thought
at
they
one
would
point
be.
They were 8-6 without.
That's what I mean.
Without him, yep.
That number was going to correct itself. Mm-hmm. That short samples. Weird stuff happens.
That's what I mean by the average is now happening.
You're going to get to where if you don't play with Anthony Davis for 2 months, you're going to lose a lot more than you win. That you're starting to get the average is starting to present itself, and you're still not even quite where you thought it was going to be, which means it's probably coming relatively soon. They could be buried before he even comes back. And you still got those other 2 guys that are out too.
So this will go back to the average too. You know what else is averaging itself out? Dennis Schroeder had 5 points yesterday. Patrick Beverley had 3 points yesterday.
Yeah.
Thomas Bryant had 8 points yesterday and 4 rebounds. Their starting lineup combined without LeBron had 17 points yesterday. So I think that kind of plays to whatever. Listen, they were beating some teams that you're like, wow, I'm surprised they won that game. They were hanging with teams, wow, I'm surprised they hung with that team. They played the Kings up in Sacramento 10 days ago, whatever that was. Dennis Schroeder had 27 that game. Thomas Bryant had 29 and 14 that game. There's also averages coming out where people are coming back down to reality. Sure. And last night was a good example where Bron is doing what he's doing, but he's also not getting any help. Russ is going to give you some numbers. Maybe you get somebody else give you 12 or 14. But you can't – Bron's not stepping on the floor saying, oh, yeah, we're good to go, right? Like, Bron is stepping on the floor saying, I got to fire up shots. And Bron's, you're talking about those fourth quarter numbers. Bron settles for threes, in my opinion, when he's tired.
Sure.
Right? When he's like, guys, I'm already 30 minutes in, and I reach a point where I can't just drive the ball to the basket every single time. And you know what the Kings are doing? Kings are saying,
Let him shoot.
Not only let him shoot, hey, we'll just put more attention towards you. Let Dennis Schroeder shoot. Let Patrick Beverley, let any of these other guys shoot. So he's also not getting help in the process.
So Darvin says they're close to a breakthrough. I question his logic in it. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is no mistake. There's no mistake.
There's
Mistake. The mistake. Come on. Seriously. Well, that's right here. It says mistake. Okay. There's a mistake.
No! I'm an idiot. No, I cannot find something here. Double the son of.
I don't see it, no. There's a mistake on this page?
Yeah.
Oh, there's two thus.
There you are.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You beat Slee.
Yeah. No, I can't find the mistake.
Look at the words.
Can you?
Still don't see it?
You find yeah, there's two thus. You find the mistake. God, I feel confident.
Oh, DD?
Yeah, you
It's
got
double DD. Am I the only one that got it?
Show that begins 9 hours of LA sports talk all day long. Each weekday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
I have an idea. I think that we should all practice our half-court shots and get really, really good at them, and then get disguised at a Laker game so that we can win $70,000. Because it feels like it's happening all the time this year.
Another one last night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to disguise anything. Wear a Sacramento hat or jersey.
They wouldn't probably pick a King guy.
How do you sign up for that anyway?
You just got to know people. It's it is what it is. Just
So was that your nephew last night that hit that shot?
That was my nephew.
I used to pick that stuff when I was at UVA, so I worked in the promotions department at UVA Athletics.
Isn't it just random?
So it's kind of random, but you got to get like the right person. So you have to have someone that's there early that seems to be excited about whatever team is playing, and so you kind of scope it out. You have to have someone who's extroverted that's going to be able to like perform at this high level, and then depending on the prize, if they can win it or they can't, because you have to have something that's like, if it's a big prize and they're like, we need to stretch this out over a couple games, you pick someone that is competitive but might not
So
get
you got
it.
a half-court shot, you pick an 80-year-old lady, your odds are pretty good she's not going to throw it in.
Here's what's funny. When they do start kind of walking over towards half court, I think it's natural, right? Maybe because I'm there every game. You're like sizing up whoever it is. I'm like, this guy got a shot. Does this person got a chance? And then you might just say, yeah, I think this person got a shot. And then they throw it, and it doesn't even get to the three-point line, right? That dude yesterday, I mean, Cash, there was no hit in the backboard, nothing. It was almost like he was just stepping up and hitting a three. He went on with John and Michael after the game. It's actually always a cool story from Valencia. What are you going to do with the $70,000? You know what? I'm going to invest it. It's always kind of unique to hear.
Spend it. Go to Vegas. Put it all on red or black or whatever your lucky color is.
For Emily.
Yeah,
there you go. Buy Emily a couple of chickens and a nice, previously owned car.
You can buy a lot of chickens for $70,000.
You could be a rancher. Do you call somebody that owns a lot of chickens a rancher, Taylor, or is that a different? Or do you farm chickens?
Chicken
do you
farmer.
ranch them?
Chicken farmer.
You farm them.
It's a chicken farmer.
Okay, you could be a chicken farmer.
Right.
That's the way to go.
That's my dream.
Farmer.
It's the Lakers and the 3-point shot are like the same. You regress to the mean. I did the Lakers for 2 years. I saw one person make it in 2 years. You've had three in 1 year. It's just there won't be enough. There'll either be like three more made, or it'll go another 8 years without somebody knocking one down.
It hadn't happened since pre-COVID. Right, so
yeah,
it was.
So there you go.
It was a while. Let's just say that. And I know not everybody. There was a time where you didn't have the games or whatever, but it will. But we said that after the second one, and it was now 30 days, and somebody else.
But it's three in a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
I mean, personally, he was over the line. I would have. You think they would ever do that?
Yeah, 100% they would.
Your foot was over the line.
Those
even after the crowd reacts and everything.
I'm just saying. There's been lawsuits and everything else about this where your toe, because it says in the bylaws,
you got to be behind the line.
It has to be a half court shot, and if you're on the other side of half court, it's not there. I've seen the stories
bad
about
PR if they do that.
Yeah, that's the question, right?
Well, they probably tell him behind the scenes.
Yeah, but then he will do everything he can to be like, all right, well, I want people to know that.
No. Before what they do, because I've done what Emily's done. You say, listen. You have to be behind the line. If you're over the line, it goes in. It doesn't count. We're telling you beforehand. And usually what happens is somebody ends up taking the shot 5 feet behind the line because they don't want to be over it. But yeah, you gotta coach them up along the way. Speaking
of, makes me think of Big Lebowski. You're over the line.
Darvin says that he loves the way his team's competing, that he's getting closer, and that he thinks a big breakthrough is coming. That all these close calls that they've had for the last couple of weeks or so, that stuff starts to turn around the other way. I like the optimism. I like the level of intensity that they're bringing to the games every night. I don't know, man.
I'll tell you.
This idea that all of a sudden, hey, all of these 1 and 2 and 3-point losses we're having are going to turn into 1 and 2 and 3-point wins because that's how it is. That's true if you're a really good team. Those things will tend to kind of fall in your favor along the way. I don't know if that's true about this team.
So I'll tell you where that's coming from. It's pretty clear here. The only way the Lakers are going to make any type of run, they need their bodies back. And I think the only thing that he's thinking in his mind, Austin Reeves and Lonnie Walker, I think get reevaluated today or tomorrow. So 2 weeks ago they're going to get reevaluated in 2 weeks. I think the only thing that's giving him optimism is he's saying to himself, I'm going to get some guys back. And that's probably the only thing that's going to change anything, Trav. And I don't know to what degree, right? If you just put Austin Reeves and Lonnie Walker back in the starting lineup because they had pretty good amount of time that they were starting, maybe for him that's like, okay, I got a little bit of my cavalry back. Of course, Anthony Davis is going to be the big one, but if it stays like it is right now, this is the lineup that you have, no, it's probably not going to change. It's just not. And we could be as positive as we want, and we could talk about them being in games versus teams that are actually better than them. We could do all that stuff, but you're going to reach a point where you either get your guys back and it starts to change or you don't. I think that's what he's referring to there.
It has to happen like almost now, right? There's just no more time left. Mm-hmm. I know that they've got roughly 35 games left.
That's not a lot of games.
It's not.
No, it's not a lot of games.
It's really not. And if you're at 500 and you got 35 games left, okay, we can see. You're a game or two below. They're significantly below 500, which means to get to 500, you need to be significantly above. Mm-hmm. And that seems like a really tall order for this team at this point. To go on a run like they had. Now, again, they did it not that long ago, but I'm just not banking on AD. I'm not banking on any of these guys other than LeBron. He's the only one that you can say, okay, this is what I'm going to get from him most nights, and you're probably right. Everybody else is kind of, I don't know. And it has to happen right now. Or, look, if we're having this same conversation a week from now, at the end of next week, and this upcoming week goes
Memphis,
a lot like
Portland.
Where is it here? Where's January? You've got Memphis, Portland, Clippers, Spurs. Okay, that's 4 games. They win.
You have to go 2-2.
They go 1-3 through that stretch. It's like, all right, here we go again.
Still heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah, you're still heading in the wrong direction.
Before that road trip starts. And that road trip is at Boston, at New York, at Brooklyn, at Indiana, and at New Orleans.
Of those 4 games that are coming up, only one of them's on the road at Portland. You got to find a way to win a couple of those, because otherwise another week. This is, I think was it the Dodgers a couple of years ago where and they couldn't catch them. They couldn't catch the Giants. It's like another week comes off, and at some point there's just not enough time left for it to do. Now that one went down to the very last
day
or two of the season. They got
almost
like a rope-a-dope, right? They got sucked into it.
Yeah.
This combined with the fact that the trade deadline is coming up early in February. It's the timing of this. Literally, you're playing bad basketball. You're missing a bunch of guys. The most important guy who is coming back around them is just the most unreliable health bet you could have. Not an ability bet, a health bet. I don't know. So do I spend money on something that might actually get worse?
Well,
it's the timing of all of these things happening at once is not good for the Lakers.
Yesterday we were talking about the Lakers making a move, trade deadline, this, that. I saw something that was on ESPN. I wanted you to turn around and look at it, but you turned around too late, and I tried telling you. It was Bobby Marks, there was somebody else, and it was, hey, trade your first rounder, and I forget who the name was. There's conversations now about Cam Reddish, who's sitting on the pine in New York. Should the Lakers trade a second rounder for it, this, that, whatever it is? And you're saying, I was like, yeah, I would never do that. And you're saying that's the moves I'm talking about. And in my head, it's like, no. If the move is you don't really move, right? Like Cam Reddish is a 30% three-point shooter. Now, maybe it's worth a second rounder because it's not a first rounder. Maybe it's not that big of a deal what you're giving up. But I think the trade deadline is going to determine itself. The Lakers have not made a trade. They had an opportunity last trade deadline, didn't do anything. They had an opportunity in the offseason, didn't do anything. I think the Lakers have it's kind of clear here. If we're gonna get screwed, we're not gonna do it, right? Because they could have done that in the offseason. They could have done that last trade deadline. They didn't. So I think that part is apparent. I think the only thing they're going to do come trade deadline is if they feel this is fair. And if it's not fair, then they're probably not going to do it.
And it's a seller's market too. There's just not a lot of assets out there that are super intriguing.
Let me tell you the West here real quick. Utah, you thought would be a seller's market. They're in the playoff hunt, and they already got all these picks this offseason for Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Portland, they're not going to sell because that's the only pitch they have to Damian is we're trying to compete. There are teams that Oklahoma City is sitting in 7th place in the Western Conference. I think 9th place in the West. So there aren't sellers. There's teams that are like, hey, let's give our fan base something. Even if we're out in the first round, we're not a team that was expected to do anything. Let's take our shot.
Yeah, for Utah and OKC, the first round it's a great season.
It's great.
They're the Jags, right? Hey, we got into the play, and if you win, great, but we're just into it right now. It works out.
Do you think, just real quick, do you think the Kings right now are selling Western Conference Finals tickets?
I bet you they're making plans for what they're going to do in the first round of the playoffs. They're doing that. That's for they're in that part of the season.
If it was Sacramento, oh my gosh, can you imagine? If playoffs started today, you know what the first round would be for the Kings?
The 3?
They're 3.
The 6 is what, Dallas?
Utah.
I like that. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Start thinking about the second round.
All right, buddy.
Then you got Memphis.
I like frisky Kings fans. It's pretty great. It's pretty great that
they have no nationally televised games the rest of the year.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's
got to make a change there.
The Lakers probably have
one
12?
They don't have one NBA TV game either?
NBA TV, I don't know. Is that national?
Theoretically.
I think it's like technically.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to buy into
the Lakers
it,
are probably on TNT or ABC or ESPN, 12 more times the rest of the way?
And Barkley starts the show with, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah, well, it's Los Angeles is a bigger city than Sacramento. Look, at the end of the day, for the TV networks, this is The Young and the Restless in General Hospital. Whichever is a better product for more people, we're going to do that.
Don't worry, it's rat poison for Kings fans,
rat poison,
Taylor?
That's right.
A little bit later, remind me on this one. Just the West, the way it is, where you have so many. I don't call them unpopular franchises, but it's not like, it's
not the Warriors and the Lakers.
Is that a good thing, bad thing for the NBA? We can do that a little bit later.
Hey, did you see with the number one Kings fan, well, at least the number one Kings fan that I know, the only Kings fan that I know, Taylor Smith, coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is no mistake. There's no mistake.
There's
mistake. The mistake. Come on. Seriously. Well, that's right here. It says mistake. Again. There's a mistake.
No! I'm an idiot. No, I cannot find something here. Double the son of.
I don't see it, no. There's a mistake on this page?
Yeah.
Oh, there's 2 thus.
There you are.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You beat Slee.
Yeah. No, I can't find a mistake.
Look at the words.
Can you? Still don't see it?
You find the... Yeah, there's 2 thus. You find the mistake.
God, I feel dumb.
Oh, DD?
Yeah,
It's double DD. Am I the only one that got it?
Travis and Sliwa, and it's time for the segment we do around this time, 10:40 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Hey, did you see that sky today?
Did you guys see that?
Basically, the days we don't do Ask Slee, we do this thing. It's called Hey, Did You See?
Did you see that? I saw it, I did it.
Did you see the memo about this?
I mean, I'm excited. You can tell by my read. Hey, did you see?
So, hey, did you happen to see?
It's time for Hey, Did You See?
Hey, man, did you touch my drum set?
Have you read this? Right now on Travis and Sliwa.
All right, I don't know if the Hey Did You See is going to be any different after another big Kings win for you or not. Maybe you'll just be a little bit more excited or any of it, but I know that you're probably in a very, very good mood today, Taylor.
Yeah, I'm in a good mood. I don't want to, bring the Kings into Hey Did You See. I don't want to be an obnoxious fan. That's my worst fear. So
okay.
Just, take this winning with class here.
Sure. But this first question, the Sacramento Kings. Right into it.
First up, this one's for you, Slee.
Okay.
Okay. Did you see that adding 150 minutes of walking in a week can add 3.4 years to a person's lifespan?
Wow.
How much walking?
150 minutes.
150 minutes, a little over 2 hours. So, Slee, how far is walking distance?
How far is walking
Great
distance?
question.
All right, this is actually a good example. lazy, but this is a good example. Remember I told you guys about going to the gym, and that there was a couple times I drove there.
Oh, right.
I'm not driving there anymore. It's walking distance. It's about 2.5, 3 blocks. It's about a 7 to 10 minute walk.
Yeah.
That to me is walking distance. And that's pathetic because in New York and some of these other big cities, they're walking 45 minutes.
Ugh.
But even if they get off the train, they're walking 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. And that's kind of like part of your day. Here, we don't do that. 10 minutes is kind of walking distance for me.
It's a good number. I think it's a little bit further than that, and it depends on what you're doing, right? If you're going to the gym or something, that's about the right number because theoretically you're going to have your workout, you're going to be tired, you're going to want
Get
to
the blood going.
But you have your cardio as your walk to the thing, so then at the gym you have to do your weights.
Yeah, I don't know if 20 minutes feels like the distance. Like if you're gonna walk for 20, that's a nice long walk. Not long, but long enough to where maybe
what's an exercise? What's an exercise?
Half hour or more.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
I agree
a
with
half
that.
hour or more is you're going for a
Getting
walk,
some steps
just
in.
for the purpose of taking the walk. But occasionally, Susan and I will walk to Starbucks, which takes us 20-ish minutes on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and that's like the outer limits of it. Like if it were another quarter mile, we're taking
that's
the
a
car
half marathon
every time, every single time. No,
I think it depends on your walking infrastructure. I think it depends on how safe your sidewalks are, how good your sidewalks are, and how many major roads you have to cross. So where I live, I'm walking distance to a lot of things, but my sidewalks aren't great. I do have to pass a bunch of busy roads, and it's really difficult for me to want to walk some places. So there's the Wiltern, which is a concert venue that's pretty near where I live, and I'll Uber there because it's up and down a hill and it's across major
Is it a mile away or less?
It's a mile away, which would be a decent walk, but Ubers are expensive. But back when I lived in South Pasadena, I would walk almost anywhere I had to go because my sidewalks are great. I didn't have to cross a bunch of busy streets, so it depends.
Yeah, I think about 20, 25 minutes is reasonable.
That's the number.
Next up, did you see that attendance for parent-teacher conferences falls dramatically through the grade level? So from 89% in K2 to 57% in high school. So, did your parents attend parent-teacher conferences, and what did your teachers usually say about you? Travis?
I think my parents fit exactly into that demographic that you're talking about. I think when I was an elementary school kid, they went to all of them. I know my mom would go. I think my dad would go more often than not. But the feedback was always the same thing. He's a bright kid. He's a very social kid, but he needs to chill out. He needs to shut up. He needs to listen when somebody tells him to stop talking frequently. He will not do it. I want to flip it a little bit. I went to all of the back-to-school nights, teacher-parent conferences till Bobby was in the 4th grade. Okay, and 2 more come after that. I don't think I've been to a single one since. They're really, really silly. You don't really get much out of those things other than what we're just talking about. And you already know your kid either does or doesn't pay attention. You already know if he is or isn't disruptive. You know all these things long before you walk in there.
My parents would not go.
Ever?
Now that I'm thinking about it, no, I don't think they would. I don't make it sound like my parents abandoned me, but they wouldn't go. And I think a lot of times they were working, doing whatever they're doing. But I know for me, what they would say, and it changed as I got older, very shy when I was young. Really wouldn't say much. By the time I was high school, it was like he doesn't shut the hell up. So that kind of changed over time. They wouldn't really attend. So that percentage, they're on the lower percentage of that.
The one you got to be careful of is when the teacher calls and specifically asks, hey, you need to come to school. We got to talk to you about your kid. That's the one. We've had 2. I never had one of those as the student. I've had 2 of those as the parent. Those are not nearly as fun. But I will say this, Taylor. You do get a little information that maybe you didn't know in those meetings.
He won't put his shoes on.
It was, put it to this way, I'll just leave it at this. One of them was soy sauce involved, and I'll leave it up to your imagination.
The one time my parents got the call to come to a parent-teacher conference was, I think I told you a story a couple days ago about when I hit someone in class in kindergarten. And I got my frowny face and all that good stuff. So that's the only time that I've had on my record, so hopefully no more.
All right, we'll do one more here. Did you see that 71% of Americans have never used a bidet before? So, Slee, why don't you think more Americans have a bidet? put you on the spot here.
No, it could just be.
It's a good time for you to do your Cologuard spot, Emily.
It could just be they just don't get it installed. Just simple as that, right? Like people don't get out of the way to do it. Growing up, we didn't have one. I remember our uncle.
You have one now?
In our place, no. At my mom's house, yes. At my uncle's house, they did have one, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing that I've ever seen in my life." I think maybe they just don't get it installed, and that's it. I mean, everyone should probably have one.
Yeah, it's more sanitary.
It's glorious. It's wonderful. This is the thing. I don't think enough people have experienced the incredible treat it is to have access to one.
Yeah.
That once you've had, and I don't have one in my house, but now I'm kind of being hypocritical here. Once you've had the incredibly satisfying experience of a bidet, you can never really go back. It's great, but we just don't have the bidet infrastructure in the United States that I think we need. Low flow toilets and everything else may have had a part to do this.
In a drought, right?
Okay, you should absolutely like this. They should build a house with the bidet first, and then build the house around the rest of it.
You can't get permits unless the city comes in and checks that there's a bidet. When I was in Japan, Tokyo, and all this stuff, Japan, their restrooms are the greatest restrooms.
I heard the toilets are small.
No, they're fine, and they got everything.
Could be in trouble,
bro. They got buttons. You want to play a little music? Go play some music. I mean,
they're
fantastic. They're fantastic.
Team bidet. If you're looking for a gift,
that's what you get, Travis.
Next Christmas,
that's what you get, Travis.
Why not? All right, Aaron Donald is coming back. He cleared up the confusion of his little Twitter, Instagram profile thing, but brings up some interesting questions on what the Rams should do. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710.
It's a creeper to me. I don't know. It's a creeper. That's the word to describe.
Travis and Sliwa
on 710 ESPN.
So I just sent a text to my friend Brad, who I played pickleball with yesterday, and we were finishing up yesterday, and I said to him, this is kind of embarrassing to even say out loud. And my buddy is trim. He's not overweight. He rides mountain bikes. He goes to the gym. He's in good shape, and he's a regular exerciser. That's a bad word, but he's in good shape. So I'm curious if he's okay. He just responded right now. I just texted him. I said, "Are you even a little bit sore?" And he says, "Yeah, for sure." That makes me feel a little better because I had a couple of moments last night. I played pickleball yesterday for about an hour and 20 minutes or so and was walking home. And speaking of walking distance, it's about, I don't know, somewhere between a 5 and a 10-minute walk. It's not far. But it was cold, a little cold last night. And about halfway on the walk home, I started to get really tight and like seize up, for lack of a better word. And so I woke up this morning, get in the shower, and, you're washing your body and all this stuff, washing your hair. And when you move your arms up over your head, I'm like, yep, nope, there it is. And then when you go to, do something else, like, oh, nope, that's not how that usually feels. I exercised moderately for an hour, and I'm pretty banged up.
Well, make sure not to stretch, right? Make sure you stay completely away from that.
Not going to happen. So
that's
what else
number
you got?
one.
Drink water.
Not going to happen. I did do that. I drank a lot of water, so maybe that mitigated it a little bit.
Can I ask you a question? I just want to understand it. Why are you against the stretching thing?
I don't do that.
But what does that mean? What does it mean I don't do that?
I didn't do it when I was playing baseball and I was good at things. I don't do that.
But as you get older,
because you were 18 and you didn't have to stretch.
It doesn't. I understand where you guys are going.
Don't get frustrated.
No, but you guys sound like my wife. You should stretch. I'm not going to. So can we just move past it?
When you were pulling a quad walking home with your battle,
just got a little tight. I was fine. I do this right before we go. I kind of do one of these, and then we're ready to play.
No high knees.
By the way, that is a basketball thing where somebody walks in and they do one of these. They go,
yeah. I don't know. That's stretching. I don't do that.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's what it was. We hit the ball back and forth for 10 minutes, just kind of without keeping score or anything. Got a little bit of a sweat going, and then we played. I don't stretch, so that's off the board. Never going to happen.
You know how people walk home after they play and they have they got a basketball with them and they're dribbling home, or they got a football and they're just kind of throwing it up. What happens in pickleball? Like
you got a little like a pouch, for lack of a better word.
I was going to say, are you just like going home like this? Or?
No, it's like a tennis bag kind of sort of deal. So you just kind of throw all the stuff in there, and I do what everybody else does nowadays. I stared at my phone the whole way home. kind of flip through and see what I got going.
You don't listen to music. There's nothing going on.
No,
you walked the wrong way.
Forget it. There was I want to find it here. It's from Era, who's a regular listener of the Trav and Slee show. Thank you. I took the picture of the pickleball court and put it on my Twitter feed last night. And I said, I'm starting my training process. Immediately, that looks like a good court. Where is it? What kind of paddle do you have? What kind of balls are you using?
Damn.
These are the people we're going to play in the tournament that know the difference between the paddles and the balls and a good court and a bad court and all these things. We're going to get demolished, right? I'm not saying you and me. I'm saying you and me.
You and me and everybody.
Everybody in here against real pickleball people, we're going to get annihilated.
Well, think of it this way. If we had a, basketball tournament and was 3-on-3, everybody in their life has played basketball and think they're decent at basketball. If we have a pickleball tournament, that's a very select sport.
Specific.
It's very specific, which means I think you're right. Ringers are going to be coming into this thing like, oh, no, every Saturday and Sunday, this is what we do, this, that. We're good. You're probably right. We're going to see people out there. They're going to demolish us.
I think I was thinking about this. The correct comparison, I think, is the difference between a guy who will shoot pool in a bar occasionally and people that play pool.
Yeah, they bring their own stick.
You will never beat that guy unless something really weird happens. But a person that plays pool will clean the clock of somebody who, hey, we've had a couple of pitchers of beer. You want to shoot a little pool?
Yep.
It's fun. You have a good time, but you don't know what you're doing. You might make a few shots. A real pool player will take you out like that.
No.
That's what this is going to be.
No, I'm in a bowling league Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I bring my own shoes, and I got my own. I have 4 different balls that I use.
Same thing.
You got
Same
what?
Thing. Yeah, that is the exact what I was saying. It's you do this. It's specific. You know how to do it. I may be good at things, but I don't know how to do this yet. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure out strategy. Serving deep, I think, helps a little bit. Keep that guy back. Because remember, you got to play the third shot off a bounce. Don't let him get to that line. Because once he gets to the
Can
line,
I convince Lady Slee to go out there this weekend and just?
I guarantee you she will be able to do it. It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's probably hard to do well, but it's not hard to hit the ball back and forth.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna give that a shot.
I
gotta go buy the paddles now.
I don't know if you've noticed. Like usually I'll kind of sit here and cross my legs a little bit and kind of lean back. Every time I've gone to cross my legs, I got to kind of like grab my pant leg and lift it up and over. It's kind of what it feels like.
That's what athletes do. You're sore.
Want to play this for you. This is from Chris Long. Talking about Aaron Donald. What was it? Earlier this week, I guess Aaron Donald said former NFL lineman.
On his Twitter bio. So
Right.
on his Twitter bio, he changed it from Rams D lineman to former Rams D lineman. And also keep in mind, too, Chris Long played with
in St. Louis.
And with Aaron Donald in St. Louis.
Yeah. So he was on a pod
Sunday.
And was talking about Aaron Donald and what he thinks is going to happen next with him. Now, Aaron Donald yesterday said, look, I never said I wasn't coming back. I'm coming back. I'm playing. But it did lead to some speculation.
He's got an opportunity to just go to heights that people haven't been. And, I don't think a rebuild, because at least in the immediacy, it is a reset. I don't know about a rebuild, but it's a reset. I don't think he deserves that at this stage in his career. I would love to see him on the move. Like, I would love to see him go back to Pittsburgh. There have to be some, like, hey, I'm going to win, or there's some nostalgic reason. Like, Pittsburgh would be fun. I don't know what Fletcher Cox's deal is going to be in Philly.
So there's kind of two things happening simultaneously.
I'm missing something here.
What are you missing?
Isn't this a better conversation for if Sean McVay had decided I'm not going to be the Rams coach?
I think so.
But Aaron Donald re-stoked this by responding to this clip and saying, I didn't say I wasn't coming back to the NFL. He was like, always coming back. It's because Aaron Donald has this, that maybe he's not going to come back to the Rams. Well, he has to come back to the Rams. He has to come back because he has his
under contract, yeah.
But that him and the Rams might not be copacetic.
So,
right
and
now.
the reason why I bring it up is if the goal is to win, have the Rams given you any indication that they are not all in? No. I don't think they have, okay? And I think the Sean McVay piece of it, it's a better conversation if Sean McVay said, and Trav, if McVay decided he's going to take a year off, then I think all bets are off. Maybe then the organization starts thinking, guys, are we starting to rebuild? But for me, the moment Sean McVay committed to next season or whatever the case is, I'm not assuming Sean McVay's coming back and he's saying, guys, let's start rebuilding.
I think you're right. I think that all of these things coming together at the same time create a bunch of different avenues. What did Sean McVay tell the Rams? What did he tell them? Like we don't know the answer to the question of, are you back for a year?
Yeah.
Are you back for multiple years? Are they going to extend him? And because last time he got extension, we didn't even know about it until months after it had been done. So that's certainly a possibility. I'm not saying that Sean McVay was holding the Rams up for a new deal, but I do believe what he said was true. But are we going to go through this again in the middle of next year? Are we going to go through it at the end of next year? Is this going to go away for? We don't know the answer to those questions. We don't know how much more football Aaron Donald wants to make. We don't know what Sean McVay, in his heart of hearts, thinks of this roster. Maybe he's in my camp where, look, 30 things went wrong. If only 15 of those things go wrong, we're still kind of in this thing. Or,
and all you got to do is make the playoffs.
Or, hey, look, we got a ways to go. We got to kind of start to restock here a little bit. And the quickest way to do that is to move really good players. And Aaron Donald is is your best player. Mm-hmm. What could you get from him? I don't know, but probably quite a bit. What can you get for Jalen Ramsey? All these, but is Sean McVay coming back if Aaron Donald's not coming back?
That's what I'm asking.
Is Aaron Donald not coming back if Sean McVay?
Isn't that connected?
We don't know. Probably.
So here are some things that we don't know either. We don't know what's going on. Maybe Aaron Donald sees that it's not a rebuild. It's just not going to be the same. And he wants to compete for a championship right now, and he wants to go to a team that's going to compete for a championship right now because he's over 30, and this is the end of his career. So there could be, like what Chris Long is saying, it's like it's not a rebuild. It's just like, how can you look at a team that went 11, 12?
5 and 12. Yep.
5 and 12. And see that they compete for a championship, no matter how it's going to be. I just don't see it.
I usually fall into the category of, well, yeah, but look at their record. The Rams are a very much there's a lot more details that goes into that record.
Yeah, there's context to their 5-12 record.
I'm not telling you, and it's also different if the Chargers had gone 5-12 and they don't have a history of winning and they didn't come off a Super Bowl. That's a different 5-12 than a team that won the Super Bowl, was competing every single year to make the playoffs, had gone to 2 Super Bowls.
And your 3 best players missed most of the year.
But that's what I'm saying is that even if you're Aaron Donald, and maybe he is saying this, maybe he's saying like, all right, this chapter has come to an end. This chapter with the Rams of a chance to compete has come to an end. I just don't believe that.
Can I flip it?
Yeah.
What if it's the other way? Look, Aaron Donald is still a terrific player.
Mm-hmm.
But what if the Rams said, listen, this is the last chance we have to really get something from him. What really good teams do. Now, let me back up just a hair.
I know where you're going.
I'm not saying that they're going to do this.
Yep.
I don't. I think that he's one of those special guys that you do not do this with.
Mm-hmm.
But what really good teams do is they get rid of a guy a year early rather than a year late. You don't let a guy leave for nothing. You don't let a guy retire because all of these things. If the Rams are really in this for the long haul, to not just, okay, we got a little 3-year window. We got another little 3-year window. And then you got these down pockets, which is pretty normal in the NFL. But you could juice this thing probably as quickly as anything else if you took your best asset and tried to flip him for other things. Because your best asset, how long is he going to be that? Mm-hmm. And maybe you're not super close to being back where you were the last 5 years. Maybe this year, while there are situational explanations as to why they were bad, maybe it was also, look, this team was due to take a giant step back, and they took a bigger one than we thought. But the way to move forward quicker is to move guys like Aaron Donald. Like I'll say it right now. I would not be the least bit surprised if at the beginning of next season Jalen Ramsey's not on this team.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be even a little bit surprised for all the reasons we're talking about. Swap out Donald and put in Ramsey. Not that he's not awesome. He is awesome. But this is how you kind of go fix other things in your program by getting rid of one really good thing. It's kind of the opposite of what they've done. I don't think they're wired like that, but as a Rams fan, I'd like them to at least consider those sorts of things.
If you're telling me McVay comes back to the Rams, and in the front office, those conversations that he's having with the front office, and they're saying, look, in order for us to compete again, the fastest way that we can get back, we maximized our time with Jalen Ramsey. So now is the time to say, we get whatever assets we get back, now we could start replenishing, and it's going to speed up that process of competing again. That's a different conversation. I think that's a fair conversation to have.
I don't think they'll do it.
I would think Ramsey before Aaron Donald.
Oh, for sure.
The Aaron Donald one doesn't seem like doesn't seem like one.
He's Kershaw.
That's
you're
going
not
anywhere.
Trading Kershaw. You're not trading.
Okay.
You could
Unless
trade.
Maybe it's on his terms.
Cody
or
Bellinger. He's more, and not Ramsey hasn't had the crater that Bellinger did, but Bellinger was pretty damn good and pretty damn popular for a while. And it's like, let's move on from him.
What if it's something like, okay, so I am a Steelers fan, and I would love to see Aaron Donald on the Steelers. There's no question about that. But here's what potentially something like an Aaron Donald haul could be. It could be Minkah Fitzpatrick. You get someone in the back and the secondary to help out your secondary. Whether or not you lose Jalen Ramsey, you get Minkah Fitzpatrick. You can get Cam Hayward. You can get offensive linemen. You could get. This year they have the 17th pick in the draft. So that could also get you some offensive linemen. That gets you some depth in the Rams. They have a bunch of picks in the second round, and they have future picks. This is something that someone like teams like the Steelers that think that they could compete for a championship could stand to lose people like Minkah Fitzpatrick and Cam Hayward and still compete at that level and get Aaron Donald. I think that
problem is it's Aaron Donald.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah,
sometimes it's not It's not that what you're saying on paper you can't say and say, look, this actually you could start this process again with the Rams. Those are key positions that you need. Sometimes the name Aaron Donald is not a player. You can't treat him the way you might treat somebody else.
He's not just the best player on your team. He's one of the best players in the history of the organization. He might be the best player ever at his position, and he's on the very short list of best defensive players in the history of the league.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Tom Brady's on another team, but they didn't trade him. He decided to go somewhere else.
What if he sits out? What if these things
You're
that he's putting on Twitter?
You're lighting the beam
Light
right
the
now.
beam, Slee.
It's on.
It's on. I saw that it popped on. I now can't quite figure out how to turn it off.
Aaron Donald's putting this stuff on Twitter.
This guy's been waiting. He's had his finger on. He's just waiting for an opportunity. Go.
He's been putting stuff on Twitter. He's responding to stuff. He's putting it in his bio. Maybe he sits. Maybe
it sounds like you're trying to
the
trade Aaron Donald
He's
to the
not-
Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm just saying.
I'll bet you your chickens that Aaron Donald is on the Rams to start the season and finishes the season with the Rams.
I'm just for the exercise or for thinking about it. If he does sit,
I'm not saying it's not a. It's an interesting theoretical idea, but the execution of it, I don't think is ever going to happen. All right. Staying with football, USC. We talked a little bit about the schedule yesterday, but we left
we
out.
actually have DeMarco Farr next. I forgot to put it on the screen.
Even
Sorry.
better. Even better.
DeMarco coming up
Farr.
next. All right, perfect.
My guy, DeMarco Farr.
He's the man.
Next. He is the man. That's straight ahead. Travis.
Pretty good, man. I didn't get slapped in the face. I've been checking out
good.
this new slap your face league. What the heck is this?
Yeah, that's real
You
deal.
stand there with your hands behind your back and get slapped in the face?
Look, I don't want to put your business on the street, DeMarco, but I have a feeling you'd probably be pretty good at that if I had to take a guess.
Oh, definitely. I'd be good at slapping someone. I don't want to get slapped and not cold.
Yeah, okay, but here's
I gotta
the
put
thing.
my hands behind my back.
So
Wait
are
a
you
minute.
slapping first or you slapping second?
Oh, definitely first. Yeah, twice maybe.
But
You're going to piss off the other person and he's coming harder.
You were an NFL defensive lineman. You got hit in the head plenty of times. You can handle it. You can take it. You're going to stay on your feet. You're not going down.
I had this thing called a helmet, Trav. Yeah. It makes you tougher than what you really are.
Much tougher than us.
I think you'd be all right. We were just having a conversation about Aaron Donald and the former NFL lineman, and they took it off. He says he's going to play. Any scenario in your wildest dreams, is there a scenario where Aaron Donald plays for a team that's not the Los Angeles Rams?
Heck no. No way. Absolutely not. They would never let that happen. They meaning the Rams. They understand who he is and what he is and how special he is. So he's retiring a Ram. Yeah, come hell or high water. He's not going to play for anyone else other than the Rams, unless something major happens, like he forces his way out. But no, they understand it. He's as valuable as a franchise quarterback. You just don't let those guys walk, and you want him to retire with you.
Okay, so with that in mind, so let's take 99 off the board. Do you think between now and the time that we get to the start of the 2023 season that there's going to be a player that Al and I look at each other and go, they traded him? Do you think we're going to get that? I don't want to put somebody's name in there, but somebody like, whoa, they just traded blank.
You mean they traded – the Rams traded a player?
Yes, a named guy.
Wait a minute. I mean, we're coming off, 4 wins?
5.
So you shouldn't be surprised by anybody outside of – 5 wins, excuse me. You shouldn't be surprised by anybody being traded outside of Aaron and a few guys. So, yeah, I think everything is on the table. You've got to find a way to flip this record and get things going back in the right direction. So a team that's not very rich in draft capital, well, your only recourse is to start moving players. So I wouldn't be surprised by any moves outside of a few guys.
DeMarco, I know it's been a few days, and we haven't got a chance really to ask you about this. Chargers lost over the weekend. And I want to just play this out for you, get your opinion. If you were the owner of the Los Angeles Chargers, after they lose that game to Jacksonville and you blow the 27-0 lead and you have 5 turnovers, the other squad doesn't have any, are you moving on from Brandon Staley, or do you think what the Chargers are doing is the right decision?
That's devastating, man. Everybody's got jokes when your team isn't winning or the other team in town starts losing, but that's got to hurt, man. I feel bad for those players. I got some friends in that locker room. Sebastian Joseph Day, I like that guy. Gerald Everett is a good guy, so I feel bad for them. But, man, that's horrible. That's a horrible way to end your season when you have it in the bag and you snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. But, look, knee-jerk reaction says you fire the coach. Everyone's upset. You want blood, and you're pointing at that guy. But I would say, man, look, I wouldn't say I'm ready to move on from Staley just yet, from Brandon Staley. I think he's a great coach. He's in the playoffs. He's doing something right, but heads must roll in the NFL, and I think they fired the OC and they fired the quarterback coach. So that's the 2 guys right under you in your room, so they probably stock it with guys that they hire and not you. So he's officially on the hot seat, but, removing a coach after a playoff run, I know it seems like a good salve for an open wound, but sometimes that's the worst thing you can do for a football team. That's pretty darn good. That's pretty good
DeMarco, I'm going to try and simplify it here. The Chargers better off with Brandon Staley as a coach next year, or better off with Sean Payton as the head coach next year?
Okay, are you willing to give up what it takes to get it?
They're trying to. But that's going to answer the question, right? Are they trying to win or not? Are they trying to get somebody who already has a Super Bowl? Are they going to try to get somebody that they think will help Justin Herbert go to the next level? I think that's the major question, and I think Dean has already answered that question personally.
Well, anybody that's out there, like a Super Bowl winning coach, like if Sean McVay decided to take some time off, like we talked about, and went to TV, the myth of you is going to grow. So the fact that Sean Payton is out there, and if you have him as a head coach, you're going to the Super Bowl next year, I think that's kind of pie in the sky. So, like you said, he's expensive. It's going to take a lot to get him. Any team that wants to get into the Sean Payton business is going to have to give up a lot. So are you capable of doing that? Do you want to do that? And is he really that much better than what you have? I think you need to consider it. But after the way your season ended, it's going to be tough to, see this thing clearly until probably September.
DeMarco Farr joining us, getting us ready for the NFL divisional playoff round. You're the right person to ask this question to. Could Brock Purdy, Kurt Warner, the San Francisco 49ers, could it be one of those, oh my gosh, we lost our guy, but the guy that comes in is actually the guy, and now you're on to a whole nother level?
Oh, yeah. It's like the third act of the American underdog story. So Kurt was our starter day one. He's coming in for Garoppolo. And but, yeah, that roster is talented. Debo and all those – that defensive line, Bosa coming after you. They have the week off versus Dallas. I don't think Dallas has a chance this week. So San Francisco is sitting pretty. So, absolutely, it wouldn't be quite Kurt Warner, but it would be a guy out of nowhere that – leads the team to the promised land. But here's the problem. He's not facing the Tennessee Titans and a Jeff Fisher Tennessee Titans. He may be facing Buffalo, who's got a lot to play for. So getting to the Super Bowl is one thing. Winning it could be a whole nother problem.
When did you know that you had a dude in Kurt Warner and not just, this is the guy that was a grocery bagger and from the XFL, but wait a second, this guy's got Hall of Fame ability? When did you know that you had a dude?
I think his third passing touchdown versus Baltimore, because we went into the game thinking we're going to have to play defense and run the football. Wait a minute, he just scored again. Wait a minute, Coach. I think he's going to be just fine.
Jeez.
You know what? Forget about him. Everybody worry about their job.
Get a club card as immediately when Kurt Warner got there. Could I, DeMarco, I'm going to do a quick little rapid fire with you, okay? I don't need spread, nothing. Just this weekend. Jaguars or Chiefs?
Chiefs.
Giants or Eagles?
Eagles.
Bengals or Bills?
I'm taking the Bills. Bengals are going to be a tough out, though.
It's a good game.
If anybody can knock them off, it would be them.
That's a good game. And then Dallas 49ers, you already said San Francisco probably blowing them out.
They're going to eat them. They're going to eat them. Absolutely eat them up.
Do you think we're going to be talking to you next year and we're having the Sean McVay question all over again? Is this going to be a regular thing that we do with him? Because 2 years in a row, it's been, hey, is he going to TV? It felt like we got really close to it this year. Or has there been something somewhere that's like, guys, I'm going to be here for a while?
Okay, no. I don't think we'll be here a year from now. Maybe a year and 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about Sean McVay going to TV.
Because you think the team's going to be better and it's likely? Because it just, whenever a question like this, I'm sorry, DeMarco, whenever a question like this comes up, and especially about a really talented guy maybe considering leaving, that question never really goes away, does it?
No, look, it's always going to be out there, and he's, like you said, TV loves him, and he's perfect for that. He'd be a great analyst. Tell me you wouldn't like an unfiltered Sean McVay telling you about a matchup this weekend. Everything we talked about, letting him say it. He's funny, he gets it, he's perfect for it. He's going to have a great career there, but you can't go out this way. He's a competitor. So say he gets into the Super Bowl or they win it again. A year from now, a year plus from now, I could see him saying, you know what, this is the perfect time to exit.
DeMarco Farr, Super Bowl champion, joins us every single Thursday. Thank you, my friend.
You got it, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, brother.
You got it. I disagree with the last thing you said. I think if they go 2-15, I think if they go 15-2 and win the Super Bowl, I think if they go 8-7, 7-8, anywhere in between there, or I guess that's 15 games, 9-8, it's going to be a question every year. Good, bad, anywhere in between. Once you say,
I agree with you.
I don't know, man. This is burning me up.
It's 2 years in a row.
It's 2 years in a row. A great season,
yep,
and a terrible season. So I mean, unless I don't think that stuff goes away. Once you've kind of put it in the universe that, you know, eventually I want to go over there. Every year people go, are you going over there yet? Are you going over there yet? Are you going over there yet?
Absolutely.
And I don't know what he said behind closed doors, but unless it's – and by the way, if it was, look, I'm here for the foreseeable future, then I think that would be out. And that's not out. And we're left to speculate.
Did you see I know we got Factor Cap coming up next. You see what Anthony Lynn said about the Chargers?
Yes, I did. I have a question for you off the air to whether or not I can tell a story on the air.
Okay.
We'll do that. Plus, Factor Cap coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 710.
Hey, Laker fans, John Ireland here. Have you downloaded the new ESPNLA app? You got to get this thing. It's great. You can get Travis and Sliwa, Mason and Ireland, Sedano and Cap, and all of our Lakers talk with Slee right in the palm of your hand.
You're just one tap away from everything Lakers. You could even win Lakers tickets. React to the Lakers on ESPNLA app.
Download the new ESPNLA app in the App Store or on Google Play.
Oh, that's cap. That's so cap, Dad.
Everything I've said is a cap, but I'm going to go back.
First of all, it's not a cap. It's
no, it
just
is a cap.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey guys, so I just came across that apparently the NFL released what Dak said after they missed one of the extra points, and it was like, we're gonna go for effing 2.
Right.
So yeah, that's a lot.
They brought in a backup, but he can't play. What the Cowboys are doing, that makes no sense at all.
Right. And, Sliwa, this is good news for you. You have plenty of time to watch the first Megan because it already has a sequel. It's coming in 2025. So
Okay, we got time.
Put it in your calendar.
Well, I got to finish Truman Show tonight. Got to finish that one. Expires at 10:30.
Yes, you have to watch it. Okay. Also, the idea of starting a movie at 10:30 is just setting yourself up for failure. Like, 10:30 is way too... And
You're not wrong. Kind of had a little crazy schedule right now. I had Lakers talk that night. I had to finish it. I had some dinner.
So then don't start it at 10:30. Wait till Friday when we have a new show.
Hey, I will start the movie when I feel like it.
Right, okay, whatever. All right. So this morning there came out a teaser trailer. Sorry.
Easy for you to say.
I know, teaser trailer.
Taylor's on her mind.
Yeah, exactly. Smith, who knows? But teaser trailer for the Super Bowl ad with Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston. Will they reprise their roles as Jesse Pinkman and Walter White? And it was a very cool teaser. It's with pop chips or something like that. But
and it's got the music.
It has the music. It has the setting. It's really cool. So you care about Super Bowl commercials, Travis? Factor Cap.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I mean, I care is a subjective word, I guess, but I'm not one of those. Oh, I'm here to watch a game. You know, the Super Bowl is a sporting event as much as it is a social moment where we're all kind of doing the same thing at the same time. It's one of the very few remaining things that we're all kind of doing at exactly the same time. There's always one or two things that are kind of funny. Most of them are eminently forgettable. But yeah, I like the commercials. I think it's a fun part of it as long as there's one. I'm interested to see that. I think that could be really good.
Cap for me, and you're 100% right. You know, the Super Bowl, really the game is not the focus. Everybody
and the game's also usually not that good because it's
But everybody who's usually getting together...
used to be true, not so true in the last 10 years or so.
But everybody who's getting together, there's a good percentage that we're not watching the NFC Championship, and that's okay. That's part of the allure of a Super Bowl party.
Let's go eat chili over at Dave's house and hang out and drink beers.
My girl will laugh at commercials that has nothing to do with the Super Bowl. So for her, that is her Super Bowl. I'm not as invested in the commercials. I think it's fine. It's cool. You see a couple, you're like, that was pretty funny. But I'm okay with whether I see the commercials or not.
Taylor?
I'm with Slee. Yeah, Cap on this one. I'm not usually tuning in for the commercials, but I'm a big fan of the halftime show, usually.
Really?
Yeah, they do a good job.
You know, for
who is it this year? Rihanna?
Shakira.
It's Rihanna.
It's
Rihanna?
Rihanna.
It is
Yeah.
Rihanna.
Shakira was in J-Lo last year,
2020.
2 years ago. Yeah,
2019.
Well, last year, remember, was our
Fitty.
boy. Yeah,
Fitty,
our boy.
hanging from the apparatus.
Yeah.
Who could forget? For somebody that is a musician, you like more popular music than most people that I know that are musicians.
Yeah, I like all kinds of music. I'm not a snob about it, or try not to be.
That's a good word. That usually people that play music are very hoity-toity about what they. Oh no, those guys can't play. You know,
it's like
anything.
A chef eating food.
Right. That you like popular music. I like that about you.
Yeah, Prince.
You've been commercialized.
What a scrub, Prince.
Prince is an outlier, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right?
I get it.
All right.
So my friend yesterday texted me. She still lives in Connecticut, and we used to go to this restaurant all the time together. And so she texted me that apparently the restaurant's closing after 25 years. It's kind of sad. So, and I used to love that place. It was a date spot for me. It was also a place that I love to watch games at. So it's sad when one of your favorite restaurants closes. Alan, Factor Cap.
Well, fact, absolutely. I'll pick up this one just because it was a while ago. Seau's down in San Diego was the place, right? Watched a lot of your NFL games. It was named after arguably the most popular Charger. When that place closed down, it felt like, man, this whole shopping center in Mission Valley is it's empty without this place. I just use that as one example. But there's a lot of places that we grew up going to, whatever the case is, and those family places, there's a real story behind that, and sometimes you go into a place and you just go grab food. But the place that you kind of stop and you're like, I know who that person is, I know that. those are special places.
Yeah, it's the second one for me. It's not just so much that it's a popular place that just becomes unpopular and closes their doors. It's the second one that this is the place I go with my friends. This is the place I go with my wife. Like there was this bar. It was a dump, just a straight up dump. But I used to go have beers with my buddies every once in a while. Place went out of business. It's reopened as a new place that's a little more high scale. We've never gone back. And not that we won't try it at some point, but yeah, I'm with you. When you have your spot, especially if it's a local spot, it sucks. It's like losing, I don't want to say a friend, but it's like, that's our spot. Now you got to find a new one, and it's hard to find a new one.
Yeah, there's memories attached. It's hard. Taylor?
Plus, they had good pizza.
Fact, absolutely. One of my favorite bars. I guess it wasn't. I mean, they didn't really serve a lot of food, but the Deck in Hermosa, they closed down because of the pandemic. And then I know it's a chain, but Barney's Beanery in Redondo, that was another good one. It was actually an Iowa bar, so I'd go there every Saturday, watch the game with a bunch of Iowa fans. And
there was one of those in Pasadena too. It might still be there. I don't know.
Yeah,
they still have
the other locations.
Yeah, I like that place.
So last night, it was caught on camera. So LeBron was about to go shoot, and he was kind of obviously focused on doing his free throw. But Max Christie goes up to give him a high five, and LeBron clearly doesn't see him at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, clearly he's just focused, didn't see him, but Max Christie, just puts his hand down and kind of gives himself a little high five. So I have a story similar to this where I was at a UVA basketball game. Dick Vitale was there, and so he got into the he was going to do one of those bump to breaks where he's in the middle of the student section. I'm right next to him. Literally, he puts his arms up. I'm in his armpit. And so he's going yeah. And then he turns towards me and it has his hands up. And then I think he's going for a high five. So I go, and then he turns his back on me. And so I just put my hand down and I'm like, great. So I don't have a video of it, but I have a picture of it. So that's my kind of story with this. So you have a bad getting blown off story. Something similar to this or something different. Taylor, Fat your Cap.
Fact, it actually happened last night. After the game, there were a bunch of Kings fans sitting behind me. I went to fist bump one of them, just completely ignored. So,
oh no,
it's
what the hell's going on with that fan base?
I was going to say, you guys are turning on each other. A little success, and you guys start to abandon one another.
You get a little bit of money.
Right, exactly right.
Trev?
I'm sure I do. But I can't think of it. I mean, it's happened to everybody, right? Where, I don't know, somebody hits a home run, they're coming off the field, and you come out of the dugout, and you're getting ready, and they just skip you or whatever. They miss you along the way. It happens.
Is it ever pointed? Have you ever gotten it that way?
I've never felt like it was done intentionally. I've never felt like somebody just skipped me because I hate your guts, and I'm going to get, I'm number 5, got 1, got 2, got 3, got 4, got 6, got 7, got 8, got 9. It's never felt like that to me, but I don't know. I'm sure people have hated me. I'm sure they continue to hate me, but I don't know if I've received the hate quite like that.
Definitely has happened recently. This happens, right? I'm getting ready to leave at the end of the fourth quarter, or the start of the fourth quarter. So engineer next to me is to my left, and I kind of gave him one of these, and I churned, and he's kind of looking at me, he's kind of not, and then I just waited, and I'm like, okay, I got to go now, and I just left.
So what's it's like a second, like a good
2 seconds is
2 seconds
way
is
too
an
much,
eternity.
right? That's a lot. So you're just like, all right, I could clearly tell. I think what's more awkward is you go in for a fist, they come in for a hand, they see that you came in with the fist, so they go fist, you went hand, and there's this well, what the hell did we do?
Was there ever more of that than right as we started to come out of the pandemic?
People almost scared of handshakes.
Are you a handshaker still? Are we
or
not
hugs.
doing that? Are we doing elbows? Are we doing bump? Are we doing the Michael Thompson bow? What are we? Are we just kind of waving at each other even though we're in the same spot? That happened 4 times a day, every day for about 3 months. Thankfully, I think we're back to shaking hands for the most part.
I also assume this isn't a surprise about me, but so when I was an athlete for most of my life, we do the handshake lines at the end. You're like, good game, good game, good game. If I did not like a girl on the team that I was playing against, I would not shake her hand. I would just kind of breeze past her.
I'm so surprised.
I know, exactly. It sounds like it's so
Does it sound like you?
Out of character.
I would
for
never
LA.
think that comes from you.
And I still hold the grudge. I still know the girl's name.
No, you've got a nice, healthy, petty thing going on, which I appreciate. It's fine. I don't dislike that portion of your personality. That pettiness is all right.
Right.
But can I just offer this out there?
Nope.
The other person needs to know you're doing it. Nope. Right? You need to know that I'm being disrespectful to you. It doesn't get you anything.
Or just don't be petty.
Yeah. Name their names. What are their names, Emily?
No, I won't put him on blast like this. It's fine. All right, so this is a very hyped up joke from Travis for me. But so yesterday I was trying to show Travis a piece of sound like Brian Windhorst or something, and you know how on ESPN every time you go on, they usually play an ad beforehand, and so the ad for this, and it keeps on coming up on my thing all the time. It's for Cologuard, and I keep on thinking, just imagining using Cologuard and thinking about what you would have to do for it to be effective. And I'm just like, I don't...
Factor Cap, have you used Cologuard?
Right, just putting your stuff into a box and then also being like the UPS driver coming around picking up Cologuard boxes off people's front doors.
It's a good question. I have less of a problem with that. Like, from the beginning of the chain to the end of the chain is the part I don't want.
Yeah.
Like, being the person to start the chain seems far less troublesome to me than the person that's on the receiving end of the chain.
The people at Cologuard sifting
yes,
through.
the people that at the end of the day, here's another one. Oh my God. Like that just feels like that might be the very worst job that there is right now.
Taylor, thoughts?
and that you have to
I'm just finding out what this is. So I Googled it, and Color Guard came up first.
No,
and
that's not what you're looking for. No
so,
R.
Yeah, I just learned something
You
today.
have to plan your day. You have to plan that you're going to have a good day to use this product. You got to have your meals in order. You got to know.
I don't know if this is a Factor Cap or just a statement.
That's what a bidet would come in handy.
Exactly.
Yes.
So my
Yes.
statement is you would never use Cologuard, Travis.
I want to be healthy, so if that's how you got to stay healthy, then sure, why not? And I'll just leave it at that. I don't. But will I use it? Yes. Do I want to work there?
Yes.
No.
It saves lives. This is a great product to get tested for colon cancer or colonoscopies, all that good stuff, because it saves lives, especially if you get it early. I'm not trying to take anything away from that. It's just thinking about it. Alan?
I thought her question was going to be something like, hey, what are the most awkward ads that you've received? But it's not that. It is, fact. If I got to use it, I need to use it. Absolutely.
Taylor?
Yeah, fact. I'll use it too.
Just get a colonoscopy.
Using it is not the problem.
It?
No. I'll explain it to you during the break. We're done with this. We're done with this. And I want your Anthony Lynn story, Slee. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN, Emily.
if it was anybody's lunches. I did not intend for that.
Let's
to
just
be
move
the
on.
issue.
We don't need to we don't need to.
I
go
just got people on Twitter
circle
talking
back.
to me about it. I'm just saying. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about pickleball for a second. How about that? How's that sound?
I'm in.
All right.
I'm all in.
I got some people that got my back. Christopher Holmes. I think most people stretch the wrong way, so I don't think you're missing out on anything. I would say hydrate and you'll feel great. So there's one. This is from LeBrow Land. Trav is right. Stretching prior to exercise is unnecessary. You're more than likely stretching cold muscles, and that's just as dangerous for pulling muscles. If you want to stretch after to help soreness, that does help.
That I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah, stretching after a workout is better than before.
Or
as you warm up, then you could start stretching.
I just feel like there's not enough research about the afterwards. I'm willing to accept the research on the front end, not so much on the
You
back.
want studies done and delivered to your front door.
Matthew Pelosi says, tell Slee that lions don't stretch before they go hunt. Trav doesn't need to stretch.
No, they
before
probably
pickleball.
stretch.
They
I
just
could
look
see-
like they're laying under the tree. They're just hanging out with their multiple ladies and just waiting to go hunt a little bit later on.
That's actually kind of funny. Every time, I get home and Rookie sees me, one of the first things he does is stretch. Because in his mind, he's like, okay,
He's getting ready to go.
There's some action. There's some action here. I've been sitting on the couch for the past 7 hours. Some action going here. Let's get a couple stretches in. I'm like, all right, let's go do it, buddy.
Yeah, see, the dog just kind of gives you a quick one, just like me. Just a little side to side, move those shoulders, and all right, let's play. I'm going to be fine. Didn't stretch before the softball, and we all know how that ended. Why can't? There it is.
Does Travis go deep? Travis goes deep!
A stretchless home run and a victory. I don't think Beto stretched. He homered to win the game.
I love the refusing. Like, stretching is... It's been researched that it's bad for you.
Did you not hear what
Sure.
Christopher Holmes said?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think that was Christopher.
Dr. Christopher Holmes, yes.
Well,
absolutely.
As far as I know, as far as I can tell, that's what I'm taking out of it. That's doesn't work for me. Different strokes for different strokes. What's your Anthony Lynn story?
So they had Sam Farmer of the LA Times got a chance to interview him. Obviously, Anthony Lynn, former head coach of the Chargers. And it's more talking about the 49ers and where they are, where the 49ers are going. They've actually got a big game this weekend. That organization has been just rock solid these last couple of years. And they got a good chance. If you said, hey, pick any team out of the NFC, I'm picking the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. He was asked about just kind of the organization in general about the Niners. This is his quote. This organization will do whatever it takes to win. Resources out the,
wazoo.
That was different for me compared to what I was going through in L.A. So it's just like, man, this is what it's supposed to be like. I forgot how that felt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got to be honest. When I first read the quote, it didn't really shock me, right? Like I think if there's certain organizations, if Anthony Lynn was in L.A. and he was talking about the Niners because he had a previous role there and was like, hey, they don't give you the resources that you need to go win. Does that quote surprise you at all?
Not even a little bit.
Okay. John was here a couple days ago, and this was right after, I think it was on Monday, after the Chargers had lost. They blown that lead. John said something that actually really stood out to me. The one thing that he said was, who's knocking on Dean's door saying, if you don't do this, we're going to parade around everywhere. I mean, the Lakers won a championship 2 years ago, and I can't tell you how many tweets that I get, or I'm sure calls that we don't take or we do take, whatever the case is. Hey, everybody's got to go. That was 2 years ago, right? That was 2 years ago that the Lakers won an NBA championship. The Dodgers, there's been more complaining about the Dodgers, even though they've been kind of the class of Major League Baseball. I know you don't want to hear that from a regular season perspective, but that to me actually kind of stood out like no tomorrow. Maybe there's a little bit of comparison to this as well with the Clippers. There's a difference, but let me kind of explain what I'm referring to. The Clippers, they're a 500 team right now. Yesterday they had back-to-back games. They didn't play Kawhi and PG again.
Mm-hmm.
Michael and I were talking about this. Brad Turner of the LA Times on. Explain to me how you compete for a championship when you never have your guys playing together, and they are both under the same thing. You don't compete for a championship if that's a philosophy. The difference is, but there aren't that many people kind of making a lot of chatter and noise about it. It's more kind of disappointment that a team that talented can't figure it out.
And I think very few of those people that are making the chatter are Charger fans.
Absolutely. The difference is Bomber will do everything to try to win, and Dean will not do everything to try to win. That's kind of part of that quote that I took out.
It's a double whammy of badness. That, to your point and what John said, the Dodgers and the Lakers and USC, I think, are great examples in this city.
Yeah.
When the team is bad, people are angry. If the team underperforms, in the case of the Dodgers, people are angry. If the team even goes a couple of seasons without competing a championship, the Lakers, people are angry. Program at SC was bad for longer than those, but it's like this is one of the most prestigious programs in America, and you've run it into a program like Tulsa. What are we doing here?
And the disappointment was actually loud.
Yes. And lots of people saying, fix this.
Yeah.
That happens other places, right? There are places like
use the 49ers.
But I want to use a different example. I want to use a team that's perpetually bad, but the people care about. The Cleveland Browns,
the Knicks.
The Knicks are people. The Knicks are the best example. There are rabid fans that care deeply about it. That they're holding the owner accountable. Only the owner doesn't give a damn. Jim Dolan does not care if the Knicks are bad. He clearly does not care if the Knicks are bad. He's been there a long time, and they've been bad most of the time, no matter how angry the fans get. The Chargers are the worst of both of these things. They have an owner that doesn't care whether they're bad or not, that isn't trying to win at any cost, and the noise from their fan base is pretty muted because there's just not a ton of them. If they were in San Diego still, it'd be much louder because they had fans in San Diego, or more of them. Here,
and they were the big fish,
right? And there just aren't enough people, and he doesn't care. It's both. It's the worst of both worlds. In LA, the Angels are, they have an owner that seemed to not really care if they were a good team or not, wouldn't go above and beyond. Fans cared, but they're the number 2 team, like you're talking about. They're the big. All of these things have to come up for there to be pressure on them. The Chargers don't have any pressure. The San Francisco 49ers have all the pressure.
Sure.
They are the biggest fish in town, arguably. They have a rich tradition to live up to. Ownership and management deeply cares about competing at a high level. And the fans hold them accountable. They have the best of both worlds. The Chargers are just kind of in this weird spot where they're pretty good, but no one's really that fired up about it. They have a coach that shot their foot off 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And no one seems to be all that upset about it.
I'm going to use an example. When I used to work at 1090 down in San Diego, and this kind of goes back in the day, right? Chargers made a playoff run. It was one of the playoff runs where they got it was devastating when they lost. It was one of those runs. And I remember we used to do live broadcasts, and it was a Scott and BR show, right? Scott Kaplan, Billy Ray Smith. And their show, I want to say, started at 6 a.m. It might have even been 5 a.m. They might have gone 5 to 9. Can't remember. Bro, we would do those broadcasts, and people were out, and they'd do it at Hard Rock, whatever it was. It was a zoo. It was exciting. Those sports talk radio shows in San Diego were talking about the Chargers like we are talking about the Lakers and the Dodgers. That's all you have down there. And now, all of a sudden, you came up to L.A., and where did the Chargers rank in profile of most interest?
At the bottom.
They're behind the Clippers.
Sure.
They're behind...
Clippers have been here for 40 years now.
Exactly. Of course. Like, there's reasons why, right? Like, they're behind so many of these other schools. There's more passion towards UCLA than there will ever be towards the Chargers. No question about it. But it's also... we do our best to say, what do people want us to talk about? And if those people were... hey, it's got to be the Clippers all day long, we'd probably talk about the Clippers. But that's not how it is, and that's how it is with the Chargers.
Brandon Staley was asked if he was outcoached by Doug Peterson, and the answer was the most Brandon Staley thing you've ever heard. We'll get into that. Plus, we've got our USC schedule is out. We talked about it yesterday, Slee, that it's obviously very, very backloaded. We left out a super important component of the entire schedule. We need to make that right. That's coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN.
Here we go. Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa. Travis and Sliwa is on for your Thursday. We're here each weekday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We begin 9 hours of LA sports talk all day long. As we like to say, light the beam. Yes, I know Lakers fans, it's sad. Slee's sad. Will he put on that Kings jersey? How excited is producer Taylor that his Sacramento Kings got another win? And yes, they had to light the beam last night up in Sacktown, Sacramento. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Let's get to it. Travis and Sliwa, your Thursday right now.
How do you feel over there, Taylor? How do you feel about yourself?
It's a great day to be alive, Sliwa.
Feel good?
Oh, yeah.
Got chilly again. I put the...
It's not itching anymore?
No, it was itching. That's why... It was itching here, and it was itching back here. I'm like, I don't know where this thing is.
Did you have it off?
Yeah, I had it off.
Oh,
I like the last hour.
Trav, you don't pay attention.
I'm. You know how they say, like, when you've been in a marriage a long time, you start to look like each other. I think maybe we're entering that entire phase where I just have stopped paying attention. Right?
I just put it back on right now. Just put it back on.
So
it's
what was the moment?
Right now.
When was the moment you knew last night that you're gonna have to be donning that jersey?
Okay, so first quarter, they go up double digits. I think they're up like 11 at the end of the first quarter. I'm not kidding. Just completely honest. Lakers need a win. They got the schedule that T-Raj we were talking about a little bit earlier, right? It's a tough schedule coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And Sabonis is not playing. I'm feeling good. Cody's sitting right next to me at the game. He's doing their social stuff. As the game progresses, I'm like cursing to myself, right? I'm cursing in front of... You're in an area, it's not like I'm a fan where I could get up. There was a dude behind us, a Kings fan, that every time Patrick Beverly would take a three, be like, oh, hell no. Well, I don't need this right now. Okay.
That was a great seat.
He's on our team. I just hear that, like, as the lead just started diminishing and everything else.
There's something really, like, deeply...
It's pretty funny, actually.
Deeply unsatisfying, borderline hurtful of when you're in your building, right? Your stadium, your arena, your rink, whatever it is, and the visiting team knows they've got you on the ropes. It sucks so much because what are you going to do?
Okay.
Right? There's really nothing when Patrick Beverly keeps jacking up shots and the guy's like, oh, yeah. It's just like, yeah, I
shoot
agree
it, Russ.
with you.
Shoot it.
We're on the same spot.
I wouldn't. I mean, and you start noticing that, like, you start looking for those people, right? Because it's the predominantly, obviously, there's going to be a ton of Laker fans. So when they're quiet and sitting down, and then somebody, you just hear somebody, oh, hell no. I'm like, okay, now who the hell was that? I want to see what he looks like. What is he wearing? There was a lady sitting front row. I don't know if you saw her. She's sitting front row, like center court. And when the beam was going on, when I was like kind of putting the pieces together, she was just standing up by herself, center court like this.
Oh, you mean this?
Yes,
That's
Taylor.
Loud,
That's
man.
Yeah, it's pretty loud.
That's really loud.
By the way, I didn't notice. Were there a lot of, like, when that was going on, were you looking around like, wow, there's a lot of Kings fans here?
I only saw a few behind me. The guy that didn't fist bump me was one of them. I was surrounded by Lakers fans. They were saying that, Sacramento's the reject team in California, that they don't belong.
How geared up were you?
During that moment?
No. Like with your
Did you get jersey
hat? Like were you
geared up?
Yeah.
Just T-shirt and hat. Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't usually wear the jerseys out. I did that more when I was little, but
you were easily
Sliwa.
identifiable as a Kings fan.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I think so.
Yeah. And he didn't dap you up.
I guess I don't look the part. I don't know.
That's amazing.
It's so random. That's like when you embrace the most. When I went to the Padre-Dodger game at Dodger Stadium playoff, when you saw a Padre fan, it was like, my brother. Right? And then that was it.
In the storm,
and then you wouldn't see them anymore for another
like
15 minutes. Yeah.
Well, but it sounds like there were plenty. Like, honestly,
that was loud. That is loud.
No BS. That's from last night's game. That light the beam.
No, this one. I have a different one. Yeah, I was playing the.
It was too loud.
I was going to say that sounded like the whole arena.
Yeah.
By the way, we're idiots because there were drums too. Like it would be as if they're at a home game.
Kind of the first time I heard it, I'm like, that sounds too loud. It sounds too like that's not a couple of dozen.
Here's a crypto one. It's not too far. It's not too far off here.
A win here against the Lakers moves the Kings up into third in
the Just no drums.
It's loud. It's still loud.
Yeah, it's loud.
But there is no home loud. This that.
Yeah, we cracked the case, Al.
We cracked
the case.
This guy Fugazi does.
Well,
Slee's got good ears.
When I heard it the second time, I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I need everything twice.
This is just my stock sound. I play throughout the year.
What is the opposite of Mamba mentality? The answer, Travis mentality. That's from Tim in the OC. Pretty much. If it gets hard, just quit. Give up. Right? Just move on to the next thing. Find something that you're better at. They put on social what some advice people would give me for my pickleball career that now that it's officially started. And I said, a perfectly fine answer is quit. Just don't bother to get started. I walked to the bathroom during the break there.
You're into it.
I had a really good time yesterday. I really did. It was super fun. I enjoyed it a great deal. But I finally got out of my seat for the first time since we started the show. So I've been sitting here for 2 hours or so and finally stood up. Oh my gosh.
Felt it?
I've got it timed out pretty good. When I get out of the seat, walk to the men's room, use the bathroom, walk back, sit in the seat right as the segment starts.
You needed a little extra time.
It's like 25 seconds behind today. I'm not moving super great because I exercised very moderately for an hour. It was I don't know. If a walk is like the lowest impact of exercise there is, good exercise, but low impact, this was like a walk plus. It's a slightly elevated thing of a walk. We talked about SC's schedule yesterday, Al.
Yeah.
They have really no difficult games out of their first 6. They probably should run the table. And then in their final 6, there are 5 games that I think you can look at and say, yeah, that's going to be a tough game. You got Notre Dame, Utah, Oregon, Washington, and UCLA. The only game in the second half that's a challenge is not a challenge, I think, is Cal. Everything else is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have their hands full down the stretch. What neither one of us mentioned yesterday, and it's, I think, an incredibly important part of this is their last season in the Pac-12 before they go to where the path is going to be harder every single season. We'll see how they break up the divisions, but there is not a Michigan in the Pac-10 or Pac-12. There is not an Ohio State in the Pac-12. I think an Oregon, Wisconsin is kind of a comparable thing.
Penn State demolished Utah.
They did.
Right, but just
Penn State kind of fluctuates a little bit.
Which is fair, but Penn State took out squad that took out SC
no
twice.
doubt. But then you could also say Oregon beat Ohio State 2 years ago. They're a bit of an aberration. But just generally speaking, Ohio State, Michigan, you haven't played teams like this in conference over and over and over again. Now you're going to. That next level of teams, the Wisconsins, the Penn States, the Michigan States occasionally, these teams that are very rarely bad and occasionally quite good, you have a few of those. You got a Washington, you got an Oregon. But the back half of it, your Oregon States, your Washington States, there's still an Indiana and there's a Rutgers.
Sure.
But that middle and top, you haven't messed with this in a long time.
Well, here's a key, too. These programs also really care about football. So even if a Wisconsin is sitting at 4-5, let's just say they're 4-5 through 9 games or whatever the case is, you don't think Wisconsin football, they get to welcome in USC into their place?
Sure.
These are programs that also care. Don't even pay attention to the record, even if a school is 4-5. When you go to Wisconsin, they care about their college football. Those places are not going to be the equivalent of when you went to Arizona.
No.
When you went to Cal or you went to some of those other schools, they're really passionate about it. By the time they get there into the Big Ten, is the college football now expanded to... Is that time up exactly?
It either times up exactly or the expanded playoff is 1 year beyond that. I think it's that. I think it's 1 year beyond that.
That's the only thing that could work in alignment with this, right?
For sure.
That you can get.
There will be more seats at the table and your resume will be better. And by the way, USC, if they do it the way that they're supposed to do it, will have a better team next year than they did this year. Mm-hmm. They will use the success of this season to go get really good players.
Yeah.
They will use the opportunities that come along with being in the Big Ten, like you're talking about. We're going to play at Ohio State. We're going to play at Michigan. We're going to play at Wisconsin. All of these things to strengthen their roster along the way. And you will have, with 8 teams available, you can stub your toe once or twice and still get in,
sure.
which is a really important factor in all of this. But in this format, this is their last really good chance to have Colorado, Washington State, Arizona State on your schedule.
That's a good point.
You're going to get your Marylands and your Rutgers and your your Indianas, but that middle is far more difficult. Forget the top.
No, the competition
it's the middle. It's UCLA. We haven't even talked about them. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
You're a middle Pac-12 school, and you're going into a division where the middle is much better than the middle you're used to. That could be a very challenging transition for UCLA.
Are you just from a fan perspective?
Love it.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Because I've tried kind of selling this in my own head. They're going to have weekends, Trav, where UCLA is hosting Michigan, and I'm not telling you that UCLA is the big draw. Michigan's coming to town. They're going to have weekends where SC and Ohio State are playing at the Coliseum, or just let's put it the other way.
Yeah,
USC is traveling to Ohio State.
Those are the ones that I think are interesting. SC, when Michigan, Ohio State comes to SC, it's going to be awesome. This is because it's the UCLA thing. I've been going to UCLA games for a long time. They could run in the Alabama, and it's not going to be a big deal because the stadium's still going to be half empty. It's going to be all Alabama people, but it's still going to be empty. You only get that crackle, that buzz, if both guys are super fired up for it. UCLA fans just don't really roll like that. For basketball, they do. But for football, it's not really the thing. When Indiana and Michigan State come to play at Pauley Pavilion,
sure,
absolutely.
But the attraction I'm talking about, and even if it's a lot of Penn State fans that traveled because they're going to UCLA, the attraction is just like, think for a quick second here. You could have on a Saturday these huge schools coming to LA, and then on Sunday you got these NFL squads that are coming. You obviously got your games at SoFi. To just go from where they were before SoFi was built, before the NFL teams came, to what it's going to look like starting next year, it's pretty damn special.
You got to find that piece of paper wherever you wrote down DeMarco's picks, because we're doing them next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN. So Les Snead, Rams general manager, was talking earlier today. Some good quotes coming out of that we'll get to in just a little bit. But unfortunately, we're not going to talk a lot of Rams in this segment because I've been home for a minute. By the way, I'm ready. Ready.
What do you mean?
For it to start again. I am.
You good?
Just needed a couple weeks. I guess it's only been 1 week. Yeah.
I was going to say, ready for the barbecue.
No,
take it easy.
You can't. If I told you they got a game coming up in 2 weeks, you would say, "Oh no, that's too soon."
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Give me a month.
Yeah,
give
month
me
is
end of February, and I'm going to be fired up and ready to go.
Breath of fresh air. By the way, I want to play this when I wake up in the morning, and I want to play it when I'm cooking dinner. I want this music on wherever I go.
That can't
Just
be
the
hard
best.
to do, right? That's
The
got to
best.
be easy to do. All right, the divisional round of the playoffs. Al took a big lead in week 1. He is the first round leader after the wild card. He's got 18 points.
Light the beam.
Right, you should get a beam for your picks. I'm in second with 9. Taylor's in third with 5, and Emily, sorry, but after sharing a portion of the regular season title, you're in the basement to start. We got a ways to go. You got a 3-point lead. We're going to start with you, Al. The first game, we're going to go in order of the games played. We got our 4 games plus we got 2 over-unders because we need 6 every week to make it equitable. Jacksonville at Kansas City laying 9 points. What do you got?
All right. I like the Chiefs. 9 is a lot. I'm not that confident in the 9. I think the Jaguars are going to take chances. They got nothing to lose. They're playing with house money. I'll still take the Chiefs, which is my number 2.
KC at number 2. Emily.
All right, so for everything essentially that Alan just said, 9 is a big spread for a playoff game. I think
round playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Last time that they played, the spread was 10. It was 27-17, and the Jaguars put out all the stops. They had a onside kick to start the game.
Oh yeah.
Last time, so I think that the Jaguars are better than we think. I do think they're going to lose, but I think that they cover. So Jaguars are my 1 though.
Okay, Jags at 1 for Emily and Taylor.
I have KC winning, but only at my 1.
Okay, KC winning only.
We're all
1.
scared of this game.
I'm going to put Kansas City at 6, and here's why. Jacksonville was 1 play away from losing that game by 40 points.
Yep.
They were 1 play away from getting demolished by the Chargers. I know it didn't happen like that, and they showed a great amount of resiliency and heart and all those things. They had a terrible first 28 minutes of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City is a lot better than the Chargers are. I think they're rested. They're ready. I think Kansas City wins the game, and I think they win it comfortably.
All right, you said it. I wasn't listening, so let me throw that out right away here. Give me what we're doing again here. So this is not a 4-3-2-1.
It's a 6-5-4-3-2-1.
I thought we were only doing that the first week because it was that many games.
No, we have to do it so people don't come back
Did we
against
do that
you.
last year?
Yes. We only did 4 games. The first week we kicked 2 out, and we did 4 along the way.
But weren't we saying, hey, how crazy is this? We have a 6-point week because it's the first time we had a 6-point week.
It is, but the points have to be the same every week.
Okay, we are changing the rules as we go. So how are we doing the other 2? How are we
We're
doing the
gonna
other
do
2?
6 points each week.
Okay, but what are the other 2? What are the other 2?
I already said.
I know you did. Like I said in the beginning, I did not pay attention to that
You
portion.
did not read Emily's email this morning either because Emily had the over-unders as part of the picks.
Got our picks right here on your thing, so just give me how you're doing the other points.
I'd like an explanation, too.
Well, there is no. We didn't have one.
Yeah, I did. I did it a minute and a half. We can run it back.
Which is why I said I did not hear that portion because I had no idea we were doing 6. So give them to me.
We are doing 6. We're going to do the 4 games, and then we will do 2 over-unders as well because we need 6 games. We need 6 events each week so that the points are equitable.
Now I know. Just so I know we changed the rules. But go ahead.
We didn't change the rules. The rules have been the same. We changed the rules last week to add the 2 extra games.
That's the point.
You can't just go 6. We could just do 1 game if you'd rather.
No, stick with it. I don't have a 5 and a 6 yet, but I'll figure that out.
Well, it's the over-unders. Would you like to repick your Kansas City pick?
No.
You know?
No, we're good.
Okay. We're good. 2 extra over-unders.
Got to change my picks now.
Second game, Emily, you're going first here. The Giants at Philly. Philly is given a touchdown plus a hook.
All right, so I think that divisional games obviously tend to be closer. Teams know each other. These teams don't like each other. Whatever the old cliches is. I think the Eagles have a week off to be able to pound the Giants. I think the Giants barely get in there. The Lynx hosting EAGLES Eagles. My 4.
Eagles at 4. Taylor.
I have Eagles at 4 too.
Eagles at 4 as well. This one comes back to me. I'm going to take the Giants because I think the Giants are actually a pretty good football team. Jalen Hurts may or may not be healthy. I don't know, but there's a chance that he's not. 7.5 seems like a lot to me, so I'm going to take the Giants, but I'm going to take them for just 1 point. It's more of a pick against the Eagles than for the Giants. Out.
Kind of lean on this one, too. I think Giants are better than people think. I'll go Giants. This is my 4.
Ooh, going at 4. You know there's a 5 and a 6, right?
I do now. I do now.
All right. Taylor is going first here. Maybe the best game on the board this weekend. Cincinnati at Buffalo, 5.5 points. Buffalo is the favorite.
I'm picking the Bengals. I don't know. I just have a feeling, but I'm going to put them at my 2.
Bengals at 2. Bengals getting 5.5, by the way, seems like a lot. I'm going to take Cincinnati because they kind of messed me up last week. I had them. They won the game, obviously, but they didn't cover against Baltimore. I had them at my 6 last week. I think they can win, and anytime you have a team that you think can win, plus they're getting 5.5 points, I like that bet a lot. I'm going to take Cincinnati at 5. Sliwa.
Okay, I'll go not as confident in this game. I'll go Bengals with my 1. I think Bills win the game. I think Bengals hang.
They're both really good. Two really
I agree,
good
by
teams.
the way. That's the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, I think so, too. M.
All right, so I had the Bengals, too, originally. But game plan-wise, and because, hey, maybe DeMar Hamlin gets in the field and he, hypes up the crowd. This is the same game.
Yes, he's been in the facility all week.
Yeah, this is the same game that this would have happened. I think that the Bills are going to play with a lot of emotion, whether or not that's good or bad emotion. I guess I'll go with the Bills at my 2.
Buffalo at 2. The last game that we're going to talk about, at least the winners and losers, I think it's the second best game of the weekend. Sunday, far better than Saturday this time around. This one comes to me first. Dallas at San Francisco. San Francisco is a 4-point favorite. I'm going to pick the team that's won 11 in a row. That seems like a good bet to me. San Francisco at 4. Out.
All in Niners 6.
Niners at 6. I think that's a pretty good pick too. Emily.
I have as you know, I don't like the Cowboys. The Cowboys are, persona non grata to me, but they kicked the you-know-what out of the Bucs.
They look
Bucs
good.
are a bad team. They looked good. So I have the 49ers 2, but I'm less confident 3.
49ers at 3. Is that what you said?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
It was TOO.
Yeah, oh, okay. I'm like, whoa, yeah. We're going to have to spell things out now on the show. Taylor, what do you got?
Niners at 5.
Niners at 5. Everybody's on the Niners, so if you're out there listening, go get your money down on the Cowboys as quickly as you can.
It's going to be 31-28.
And Marr's going to hit like a 58-yarder to win the whole thing, right? He's going to hit a bomb to break that thing through. All right, Al, you're batting leadoff again.
Okay.
Over-under on Cincinnati and Buffalo is 48.5. What do you got?
I'll go over. I'll go 5.
You're going over on the 5. So you got the Cincinnati, Buffalo, and the over.
Yep.
Okay, at 5. Emily.
If you pick an under, you're a loser who hates fun. So I'm going to go over 6.
I'll change my pick.
Over at 6. So she's got Cincinnati, Buffalo, over. Taylor.
I'm going under.
Good for you.
Boo.
I'm going to put it at my 3.
All right, so we got Sin.
I like how you didn't cave into the
Buff,
pressure there. I like that.
Over.
Never.
Or under, I'm sorry. I'm also going to go under as well, and I'm going to put it at the 2. Last one, Emily, you're batting first. This is my under. Okay. Dallas, San Francisco, 46. Emily, obviously you love fun, so you're going over. All you have left is your 5.
Yep,
Do I have
over
it
5.
right?
Yep, you got it right.
All right, so you got the over on San Francisco, Dallas, and Taylor.
I'm going over as well at my 6.
Over
Way to go.
at 6 with San Francisco, Dallas, and it's up to me. I'm going to take the under as well. I'm going to go double no fun and take the under San Francisco, Dallas. Under at 3. Al, you went first, and now you go last.
Let's go 3 over.
3 over for San Francisco and Dallas. What? So the NFL isn't really like college football so much in the sense this is completely anecdotal. I'm just kind of making this up as I go along. I feel like NFL playoff games are more defensive oriented. That it's late in the season, the weather's bad, that you get all of these things where you've had a lot of time to prepare for these things, that the numbers tend to get a little bit lower and the spreads tend to get a little bit tighter.
Oh, you could sweep these points. The over under, we get all locked into how we were doing the other ones. Over-under is kind of new for me. You could definitely sleep. I'm looking more at what these squads put up last week, but that has no relation to what they're going to do this week.
I think that the Bills-Bengals, because they're both high-scoring offense, it's going to be like a 27-24. It's going to be like a 31-30 because the Jags and Chargers was a high-scoring game. The Chiefs,
27-24 seems very reasonable.
The 49ers game, they scored 40. Like these are teams that are going to put up points. I think it's just the spread might be closer.
Okay, just so you know.
Which is why Vegas will make a lot of money because everyone went over.
The over's the more popular bet, right? It's supposed to be 30 degrees and snowing on Sunday.
But the Bengals also play in cold weather, too. Cincinnati's cold.
I'm not saying that
it just changes the game plan.
Yeah,
it does
you're
change.
less likely to get a 48-42 game in the snow. I mean, again,
I'm relying
anecdotal.
on cold hands and fumbles. Running back
for scoop and scores.
If the Bills are going to win, they're going to win by scoring a lot of points.
Okay, so speaking of scoop and score, am I the only one on this island? Everybody was killing Al Michaels for his call, Al Michaels and Tony Dungy for their call in the Jacksonville Charger game, that it was super low energy. And Tony Dungy's just a low energy guy, so I get that. I thought Al was still Al. I thought Al's always great. I think I'm alone in this, but I thought he was terrific.
So
Sedano agrees with you. He had a whole rant about it.
Yeah.
So I'll be completely honest. I noticed it.
Did you?
And
really?
I don't usually notice that. I noticed Dungy 100%.
Yeah, that's yes.
That was, and sometimes. Do you agree with this? If Tony Romo is sitting with Al Michaels, I think you feed off of whatever energy that other person is.
No doubt.
And Tony Dungy just doesn't. That's not his personality. He didn't have that energy. I don't usually. If I notice something like that, then it's off. I did notice it in that game.
Yeah, Romo's getting on my nerves though lately because he's like a lot. Like he's got like weird animated things and he steps on Nance all the time.
That's my favorite duo.
It's getting on my nerves.
They're
Romo
my favorite
and
duo. Yeah, no question about
Romo's fun. Romo's fun. I
love Nance.
You could put
too.
Al
Nance is
Michaels
amazing.
with a cardboard cutout, and that's my top choice. It's Al Michaels. He's just.
But
he's
here's
a
the thing:
legend.
when I say I notice it, it's not deterring me from not watching the game. I don't enjoy the game less, but I noticed it.
Yeah. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people jumping on that. I didn't feel it. All right, Les Snead's talking this morning, and he said a couple of things that made you go, "Wait, did I hear that right?" That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. If you're hurt in an accident, sorry.
It is the show that begins 9 hours of LA sports talk all day long. Each weekday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
I don't know the right word, Al. It's not excitement, it's not nervousness, it's some emotion in that general vicinity of our emotional palette as human beings. I'm intrigued. Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued by what the Rams might have going next year, because I really do think for the first time coming into a season since Sean McVay's first year, I have no idea what this team's going to look like. I knew when Jeff Fisher's team showed up here they were going to suck, and they did. Okay, after Sean McVay's first season, I knew they were going to be pretty good, and they were until this year, and it was awful, 5-12, and nothing really came together. If you told me right now, Tate Trav, look, I've got my time machine built and it works. I went to the end of next season. They were 6-11 next year. I'd believe you. If you came back and said, "Hey, Trav, they got it figured out. They're 12-5. It's all good. Won the division. They're back in it." I'd believe you. I don't know what it is. I've never had this with the Rams before.
I almost, you listed out. This was you were mentioning it. You're like, look, I got this long list. By the way,
It's going to take me a minute to find it, but
when you find him, hit him, because it kind of hit me like, all right, it's so easy sometimes to just you look at a team's record and you're like, nope, that's what their record is. No, I don't want to hear the excuses.
I just saw my note for the guy that went broke on exotic snakes. You want to go over that again?
That's in there, huh?
Here it is. I got it.
So just using it as an example, when you look at a record, like if I right now, I use the Lakers standings, they're 20-25. They are. That is what they are. But I could give you a little bit more context and say, hey, this is what happened, this happened, that happened. You had the Rams' excuses, as you called them, listed down.
In no particular order, right? Because I think some of these are more meaningful than others, but in no particular order. They basically had no draft picks to restock their cupboard other than the number 2 pick, and he played 0 snaps because he got hurt in training camp. They never let Matthew Stafford throw during the offseason, so he's never able to develop any sort of rapport with Allen Robinson at all. Logan Bruss, as I mentioned, their first pick, second-round pick, who was projected to probably be a starter at right guard, and he certainly would have played a ton this year because of all the problems they had on the offensive line. He didn't play a single snap. They had 7 coaches leave the staff from the Super Bowl and go somewhere else. They basically had the shortest offseason of any team in the league other than Cincinnati because they played deeper into the season than anybody else. They had 13 different offensive lines start a game. 17
that
games.
Might be the most important one.
13 different offensive lines. Allen Robinson, I would love for you to say, Trav, you were wrong about this, but I don't think I am. Allen Robinson was a complete bust. It just didn't work. Robert Woods was much better than Allen Robinson. They took a huge downgrade at an important position. Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Donald all missed a giant chunk of the season. Not just a game here and there, huge percentages of the season. They had 4 different starting quarterbacks. 4. Okay? There's only 17 games. They played 4 different starting quarterbacks, and they had the toughest schedule in the league. All of those things happened last year. That's a lot of things.
That's kind of my point when you say, and I will stay on this. I don't know what the Rams are going to be next year as well, but I think there's a lot between now and then that whatever we think the team's going to look like, it might look completely different. They might restructure some stuff. They might just say, hey, let's just bring back our players, and if we're healthy, we're fine, and we're going to roll the dice again. I don't know what that's going to look like, but those are legitimate. Now, did you think that's going to equal 5 wins? Well, maybe in the NFL, when you have that many things go your way, it does equal 5 wins. And the wins that they got, none of them were really impressive. None of them were against good teams or any of that stuff. That is kind of the Rams season in a nutshell.
Well, and I heard, the Niners are playing their third quarterback. They are, but they had every other thing be okay, right? They had a great offensive line. Their best defensive players played the whole season.
Traded for Christian
McCaffrey. The draft, it's not just the one thing, it's all of those things, which brings me to this. Rams general manager Les Snead. All things are in play with us. That's a quote from Jordan Rodriguez in The Athletic. He also used the word remodel a few times, did not use the word rebuild, intentionally not using that. It's a remodel. But this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with DeMarco a minute ago, with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and pick some Allen Robinson. They're Bobby Wagner. There are some big names that I think you could say if they started next season in a different uniform, I wouldn't be shocked. And when I hear all things are in play with us, that's what that means to me. That maybe you move in the draft, that you move, but again, I'm just spitballing here. You move Jalen Ramsey, and now all of a sudden you're in the first round for the first time in a long time. Or you move Bobby Wagner, and you're back into the first round. Or you get a couple of other players less expensive and cover a couple of different needs. All things in play with us. What he's not saying is what I just did, which is, look, we had 100 things go wrong. We just need half of those things to break our way, and we'll be all right. All things are in play means all things are in play.
Well, I'm going to go back to this, too. You know, when the conversation about Aaron Donald, that we don't feel like Aaron Donald's going to go anywhere, and we feel that because Sean McVay came back. I think a lot of this also has to do with Sean McVay. Sean McVay, you cannot tell me that he's having such a difficult time making a decision of whether he wants to stay with the Rams or not. And then he gets into a meeting with Les Snead, and the conversation is, hey, we're going to really just kind of start over. And then Sean McVay says, that sounds great. I was waiting for you to say that. Let's move forward. You know, like, that doesn't seem like that would fit either of those two personalities.
No.
Now, that doesn't mean...
But at the same time, Al, you can't just do what they've been doing forever.
So here's what I was going to say. That doesn't mean that you come back in with the same exact game plan.
Right.
You could do things a little bit different. Now you might take risks that you weren't taking before. Now you might, like you say, this is somebody that helped us win a Super Bowl. We got the best out of that person. We're moving on. They could the remodel, that's interesting. I have not heard that in... Have you heard that in sports?
Like the terminology?
The terminology of it?
It doesn't ring a bell if I have.
Rebuild sounds like you're the
Boom,
San
blow it
Antonio
up.
Spurs, you're the Houston Rockets, you're the Jacksonville Jaguars I'm talking about. Like you're basically completely starting over. Remodel is... No, here's what we're doing. We're taking down this wall, and then we're remodeling the kitchen, and then we're this.
You're looking at it across the street. They keep trying to remodel, right? We're not going to not. We love the kitchen. It's LeBron James. We love the master bedroom, Anthony Davis. We're going to keep remodeling the rest of the house. We're going to. I don't like that couch. Get rid of that couch. Yeah, you know those wall treatments. I don't love those. Let's move those on. And you keep doing it. And I'm not saying it can't work because we've seen it work. The Rams did it to a Super Bowl, but it's a lot harder to just kind of change some things around the edges and really make a big difference as opposed to, look, we're just going to try something entirely different. I want to put this out there too.
Can I use a time frame as an example? When you do a remodel, it would be okay. That takes about 3 months. It's kind of a quick fix.
Yeah.
Right. We might not have the resources to do what we ultimately really would like to do, because if we did hey, we're knocking this thing down and we're starting over, that's going to take 2 years. We got to go get permits and engineers got to come out. There is kind of it's a good terminology because I think it does give a good example.
Have you ever painted your house, not the exterior, but like you change the color of the paint in a room? Yeah. How often have you been like 6 months later, you know what, I hate that.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, what the hell? We painted that room blue? Like, what the hell were we thinking? That looks stupid. Put it back to beige. That looks a much better way of doing it. The other part, too, that you look at with this is the McVay thing that you've brought it up a couple of times. That is a question that's going to keep getting answered every single season.
Mm-hmm.
Every single season that he's here is going to be okay, well, you won the Super Bowl again, you leaving? No, I don't know. Hey, another tough year, missed the playoffs. You leaving? That's going to affect players. That's going to affect draft picks because if you're constantly trying to, we just got to make sure he stays another year. I'm not saying he's got to tell us, but hopefully the people in the building have a good answer on what his timeline looks like. Because if it's year to year, you're approaching it very different than, guys, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to figure out a way to do this a little differently, and I'm going to be here through the end of my contract. That's a different thing than year to year. The other part of it is, and I'm not saying you trade Aaron Donald. I'm not saying that you go out there and say fire sale on Bobby Wagner or anything like that. You know who was always really good at get rid of a guy a year early than a year late? Pats. The only guy that they hung on to through that whole run was the quarterback. Richard Seymour goes somewhere else. Willie McGinnis goes somewhere else. All of these guys, Ty Law, like these guys that were incredibly important parts of what it is that they were doing. We talk about it all the time. Tom Brady never really had a weapon other than Randy Moss and Gronkowski, all the other pieces were constantly coming in and out. They never married themselves to one guy.
That's when you feel. I mean, that's when you're running a franchise. And we use this,
and it's ruthless, but it works.
But we use this as an analogy, and it's actually the perfect way to do it. It's nothing personal. It's just business. And there are companies that run that way, and there are companies that say, "Hey, this person's getting too expensive." However, do you remember when that person cost this much? Who got him to this point? Now another company is trying to take him away for X amount of dollars. Guys, we have our system is in place. We can make another one of those. That's what the Patriots used to do, right?
The Dodgers did 100%, for 20 years.
Still doing it, right? Like that's when you have the best run company organization, when you pay the guys that or by the time they get too expensive, you're confident enough to say, I don't have to pay him that money. I got somebody else I could break through.
And
the
you
system.
got to you have to be so cold-blooded, and you got to earn the trust of the fans. Because if you just turned around and traded Aaron Donald, it'd be like, what the hell is happening? What do you mean he's the best player in the league? It's like, hold on. And I'm speaking from personal experience. When the Dodgers traded Steve Garvey, I was devastated. How can you get rid of Steve Garvey's the greatest Dodger of all time? How dare he's still good? Why are you getting rid of him? And he was still good. And he went to San Diego, and he was good for like 1.5 more seasons, but they got stuff for him. This is it's tough, and you got to trust the people that are doing it, and they got to give you a track record that this is the right way to do it, and we don't know what the Rams so far.
I'll go back to this. Sean McVay doesn't come back unless he feels comfortable with what they're doing, and if they got to make ruthless moves, I wouldn't be surprised or shocked that they make them. I wouldn't.
It's a great question. I don't know. Aaron Donald is closer to the end than he is to the beginning. And that would be the most ruthless move of all.
He, to me, would be the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't either, but if you were being just super spreadsheety, calculating, cold-blooded, that's the thing that gets you the most coming back. That's the guy that would get you the largest return.
True. Yeah.
Bobby Wagner, something. Jalen, something. AD, totally different thing. The Dump, coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
Sedano and
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is no mistake. There's no mistake.
There's
mistake. Mistake. Come on. Seriously. Well, that's right here. It says mistake. Again. There's a mistake.
No! I'm an idiot. No, I cannot find that. Something here. Double the son of
I don't see it, no. There's a mistake on this page?
Yeah.
Oh, there's 2 thus.
There you are.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You beat Sliwa.
Yeah. No, I can't find a mistake.
Look at the words.
Can you?
Still don't see it?
You find there's 2 thus. You find the mistake.
God, I feel dumb.
Oh, DD?
Yeah, you
It's
got
double DD. Am I the only one that got it?
going to be BMO Stadium. BMO.
Yes.
That doesn't roll off the tongue quite the way that. Hey, we're going to go see LAFC tonight at the bank. That sounds right.
The Staples might be the toughest one to get over. That so many people still call it Staples Center, right? And Crypto.com.
Are you still doing it?
Because I'm doing every single game, this, I'm good. I'm doing the Crypto.com, and I don't really have a problem with it. But people all the time still say Staples.
Yeah.
And crypto is not like the smoothest thing, right?
Well, it's because it's not. If it was just crypto,
yeah, you want.
That's why it's Crypto.com arena. It's a sentence. It's like a
it's
full
not
sentence.
Crypto Center.
No,
it's not that.
Yeah, the crypt.
I mean, Smoothie King Center
that doesn't
is
work
the best
great either.
one.
That doesn't work great either. Right, Arco Arena, even though it was a glorified high school gym, rolled off the tongue. Sorry, Taylor.
In Philadelphia, it's like the link.
Right. Still taking shots at the Kings. Can't do anything.
Have to. By the way, you know what I don't like is that Greg just walked in here, and I'm in completely Kings gear, and he says nothing, and he walks out as if like this is my own. My own. Have I worn it that often to where it has become normal?
You wear it once a week. it's like we all have.
How did they play 4 games in like a month?
They kind of did.
You're finally off the hook,
right? You're good to go. You make sure that you launder that before you return it to Taylor. It was today in the year 2000, January 19th, 2000. That sounded like Conan O'Brien. In the year 2000, Michael Jordan led the Bulls to championship number 6. Six-time NBA champion Michael Jordan returned to the NBA. He went to the Washington Wizards, part owner, president of basketball ops, overseeing the entire team right there. That's one of those few things. Like, if you found 100 people and said, "What's the first thing you think of with Michael Jordan?" Everybody's saying the Bulls and winning, right?
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
But
the final shot.
Sure,
Yep.
everything that you think of is Bulls related. His time with the Wizards was not bad. They didn't make a bunch of playoff runs. He was still a really good player at that point in his life.
I'm trying to look this up because sometimes, and I've done this before because of Braun, so I'm trying to look at, okay, what were other players doing at this stage of their career?
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I've looked at those, and I'm like, that's not a bad line for Jordan.
Not at all.
Look, first year, he was there for 2 seasons, 23 points a game, almost 6 rebounds, 5 assists.
Yeah, that's a really good NBA player.
All right, his final year playing, and this is at age 39, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. It's fantastic.
Yes. And by the way, that's when his age 39 season.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron's in his age 38 season and smashing those numbers.
I know.
And did not have extended breaks in that time. Jordan took a break to play baseball.
Right.
Jordan took a break where he had retired from the Bulls
for 3
after
years, basically.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit of time. Now, it could go either way. You could put on weight and get slow and all those things, but Jordan didn't really do that. But LeBron never really stopped. And what did you say? He averaged 20 points his 40-year-old season? What's LeBron averaging, like 28?
Yeah. LeBron is literally basically a triple-double every single night, or at least flirting with a triple-double.
Last night was 32, 9, and 8.
He's 29.8 points per game.
So 30.
8.4 rebounds per game.
38 and
7 assists.
38 and 7.
Actually,
Average.
You know what? Funch just sent me this. I think it was 2010 is when he won the MVP, something like that. And somebody had put this up on Twitter, NBA Essential, whatever it was. And they were comparing his stats today to his MVP season. Trev, they're basically the same.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you it's ideal because everybody wishes Anthony Davis was there every night and Bron didn't have to have the workload. But that's not the case. And Bron is having those types of numbers at this stage of his career.
There is some context to this. There is to everything. It's not quite the same way that it used to be, but the numbers are still the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's more stops and starts. That
sure.
Last night, and it comes back to what we were talking about today, he was 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter because they're just riding him like crazy. 37 minutes last night, which is kind of where he is.
Mm-hmm.
And Darvin just, what are the options? It's my only chance to win a game. But they're not winning.
Do you know the best comp to that is, let's say how long did you play pickleball yesterday? About
hour
and 20?
20.
Okay. You in the final 20 minutes compared to the first hour? Is that not?
Oh, yeah.
What more of an example do you need?
So we played for about an hour, and my buddy Brad's like, "You want to play one more?" I'm like, "Yes, I do, but I need to sit down for 5 minutes." And so
does that help? I almost feel like you tighten up like crazy.
It was a mistake. I probably should have, but I needed to catch my breath. It was one of those, I can keep going, but we're not going to play. You're just going to serve me off the court. It was not good. It was today in 2002, the Patriots beat the Raider in the tuck rule, right? That was the game where Tom Brady re-pumps the football. Whatever Every Raider fan insists it's a fumble. Every Patriot fan says, nope, the rule was interpreted correctly. You guys can fight that out from here to eternity.
Fumble.
I think so, too.
Yeah, fumble.
The Raiders... That was kind of the turning point in the entire Raider evolution from where the Raiders were still a pretty good team to they were not.
And turning the evolution the other way.
100%. Do you remember the worst loss of your sports fandom, the one that just, I can't believe that just happened? Because for Raider fans, that has to be on the really short list.
I'm going to put the Chargers ones to the side.
Is that not the one that you think of first?
No, you know what I think of first? Lakers had won 3 championships in a row. And they're in San Antonio. This is Game 5. Series is tied 2 apiece. Whoever wins Game 5 is probably going to win the series. They had won 3 in a row already. Lakers went down 25 on the road to San Antonio. They came all the way back. And Lakers have the ball, kind of final possession of the game. They're down 2. Whose hands did it end up with? The man that hits all these big shots? Robert Horry. Gets the ball, in motion for a 3. Lakers down 2. Spins in and spins out. They were down 25. And then the next game, Lakers got crushed at the time, was it Staples, got crushed, and that was it. It was the first time they lost after winning those 3 in a row. That was one of those, because I also had buddies who were watching who hated the Lakers and were just poking at me.
That's a good one. I remember Tommy Lasorda letting Tom Niedenfuer pick to Jack Clark, 1985 NLCS. Jack Clark was the only guy on that Cardinal team that could hit the ball out of the ball. He was the only guy on the team that could hit the ball out of the ballpark. Niedenfuer was a human gas can at this point. He's just giving up rockets all over the place. Tommy walks out there. You're like, okay, he's going to take Niedenfuer out. Or we're going to put him on first base. Pitches to Jack Clark, who hits it halfway up the pavilion in left field. Home run. Dodgers lose. And that was the first time I remember saying, you've got to be kidding me. This was so incredibly avoidable. How did this happen?
Dodgers have had, think about it, even the last 10 years, had moments.
Had a few. They've had a few. It happens when you're young. It certainly hurts a little bit more. This is bizarre. I know we haven't talked a lot about this. Live Golf is that rival golf league that's kind of fledgling, but they've got
Saudi
more
Arabia.
money than they know what to do with, because the Saudis they're not trying to make money. They're just have it out there because they're trying to sports wash, right? They got a TV deal with the CW. Emily, you and I looked at the rundown of things on the CW. Here are the things on the CW as we speak.
So one of them is reruns of Gilmore Girls, which is why I'm playing the Gilmore Girls theme song underneath this. Another one is Funniest Animals.
World's Funniest Animals. I believe there's one day where they play 6 episodes in a row.
Yes. There's Kung Fu.
Yes.
There is the Vampire Diaries that's on CW. There is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There's a lot of vampire-esque things. There, it's teeny bopper girl shows, and then Saudi Arabia.
And Live Golf, Saudi Golf in between reruns of the Gilmore Girls. That should be a wonderful combination of programming. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a television product that people want to consume, you don't have a league. Right? That at the end of it, you can't put it between
on TV or it's not for real.
What were they on?
But what if you're on TV between World's Funniest Animals episodes?
In the end, isn't it just saying we're on TV? We don't care if we're on between Vampire Diaries and Riverdale. It's like, well,
you strike me as a Riverdale guy.
Oh, big Riverdale guy. Big Riverdale. All those shows.
They so they were streaming before on YouTube, right? So they're doing that. Why didn't they just kind of keep the streaming service?
Because they were streaming on Facebook. It doesn't even count, does it?
It doesn't.
It's like
YouTube
Facebook Watch was showing the tournaments.
Oh.
Well, and YouTube. I was right. It was on YouTube as well. But the whole concept of this cockamamie league is they have teams, and they were going to sell the teams. Like the Dustin Johnson team would be sold to Ford, and the Brooks Koepka team would be sold to Chevrolet. And
Right.
Nobody's buying it because it's not on anywhere.
Yeah, true.
And the views they were getting
not
on
anymore.
YouTube...
Nope.
CW.
The views they were getting on YouTube were in the tens of thousands. Okay, tens of thousands. There's no business for
In tens
Ford
of thousands,
in tens
yeah.
of thousands. You got to do it. It's terrific. I just love that.
That's
and by
pretty
the
fun.
way, you're a customer for Gilmore Girls. I don't have a great crossover for your customer for
No.
Saudi Golf League.
Definitely does not overlap.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Definitely doesn't overlap.
I haven't said that in so long.
I did like that show.
I love that show.
Yeah,
It was a great show.
It was a very, very.
I feel like it
good
was on all the time when I was a
Well,
teenager.
they had like 3 shows, and they just loop them.
Yep.
They still kind of do. Let's do a little Super Crosstalk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles.
KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
I want to ask you
Thank
guys.
you. I'm up today.
You're fired up. Did the tranquilizers wear off?
Yes, they wore off. My back is fine. No more muscle relaxer. I'm ready to go.
What did they give you?
I don't remember. Alma Gunnan.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
the
one.
one.
Have
That's
you tried
the
that
brand.
one? That's the one.
So we were talking about Vicodin yesterday, a couple days ago.
Yeah, you were,
yesterday.
you were on the bike.
I have been on the bike. I'm not
Yeah.
currently on the
Okay,
bike.
good, good.
But there's that.
Yep.
And then there's the muscle relaxer ride. That's a far more.
Well, that's what you were on, right?
Yeah, it's I don't
impairing
remember the name of
thing.
it, but it's
What, Trev? What movie do you think of when you hear the term muscle relaxer?
There's 2. There's the 16 Candles.
That's the one.
Where
that's
the
one I
bride gets the
When
trinket.
she's marrying the oily bohunk.
Yes. And then the other one was when Will Ferrell gets shot in the neck with a dart in Old School.
Oh, that's
that's
I
right.
forgot.
You're
falls in the pool.
I like you.
That's a good one.
We were talking about it a second ago. Today's the day of the tuck rule, right?
Yeah.
The Raiders and the Pats.
correct call.
Sure. If you're
This
not
is-
a Raider fan,
perfect.
John, I have a feeling you probably feel differently.
One of the worst calls in the history of the. I'm serious. One of
I
the
agree
worst
with
calls
him.
in the history of the NFL.
Called by the rule book. The rule was
You're
later
both
changed,
right.
but that's what the
what's
rule
so
said.
crazy that it was by any reasonable measure, it was a
Yes.
fumble, except for by the letter of the law in the book,
Yep.
it wasn't. It's a stupid thing. I was asking him.
It was the equivalent of getting a speeding ticket for going 56 miles an
yes,
hour.
Yes, which by the letter
Yeah.
of the law is
Is
speeding.
guilty.
Is
Yeah,
speeding.
You can do it if you want to.
Raider fans still arguably one of the worst moments
Oh,
in
they
their
just,
sports
they're
life.
Stuck in a moment, as you two would say.
For me, it was Jack Clark taking Tom Niedenfuhr deep in 1985. The first time I remember just having your guts ripped out as a sports fan. For Al, it was an Ori shot in the Western Conference Finals, rimming out. Do you guys have that first time you remember, like, I can't believe it ended like this?
I think
Lakers Celtics 84. We won. The Lakers won their 3 games by an average of 17 points a game. The Celtics won their 4 games by an average of 6 points a game.
Ugh.
So we just boat raced them in 3 of the games, and the other games were really close. And they'd get some bounce or Bird would make a play, and then it gets to Game 7, and we get no calls and we lose. And I will go to my grave thinking that the 84 Lakers were way better than the 84 Celtics. So they came back and beat them in 85.
Right.
Where was that game? Where was
Boston?
It was
Game 7 was in Boston. But and in that was the year that Rambis got clotheslined. It was just a really weird series.
2 shots.
Yeah, 2 foul shots.
Yeah,
Yeah, not even a technical.
So for me, I grew up a Rams fan in Ohio, and I remember my dad was a Cowboys fan, my mom was a Steelers fan, my brother was a Raiders fan. They were all going to the Super Bowl, right? And winning Super Bowls. So for me, they finally get there. And the
1980?
79 season, it's
Yeah.
the 1980 Super Bowl.
At the
And
Rose Bowl, I want to say.
They're
the Rose
ahead
Bowl.
going to the fourth
Yeah.
quarter.
Ahead going to the fourth quarter, and they found a way to lose that game. So that was probably it for me.
That's kind of the beginning of when you start to care about this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's
like
true.
you're kind of
Yeah.
invested in it. It's only when you get your guts ripped out that's
Yes.
like, I really
I was
probably
like
care
12,
about this.
13,
That's the
something
right
like
time.
that.
I remember
Yeah.
I had a light bulb go off when a friend of mine's dad took us to a Dodger game once. So it was my buddy, his younger brother, me, and this guy's dad. And the Dodgers had the tying run on third and the winning run on second with no outs.
and 3 guys in a row struck out, and they lost. And we were kids. We were, young. We were steaming. Like, we couldn't believe how mad we were. And finally, the guy's dad just had, in what was a light bulb moment for me, looks at the 3 of us and goes, "What is wrong with you 3? Nothing happened to you."
Right.
How do you think
that's not true?
How do you think they feel? They want to win more than you do. And I go, that's not possible.
I don't think that's exactly right. It does happen to us.
So what have I never seen, John, in my life that I want to see?
No-hitter.
No-hitter. So bat boy for the Toledo Mud Hens. My roommate was a guy named Ray Smith when we went on the road. Catcher, actually from Oceanside. And
the Bat Boys went on the road?
Yes.
That's awesome.
And Dave Rigetti was the starting pitcher.
Oh, wow.
So Dave Rigetti had a no-hitter going to the top of the 9th. We were in Toledo. And Ray Smith was the batter. And Ray chopped a ball off of home plate. So here I am. I'm kind of rooting for the no-hitter, right? I've always wanted to see that history even when I was a kid. Ray chops the ball into home plate straight up in the air. And by the time it comes down, Ray is at first base. And that's the end of the no-hit. Nobody could hit Rigetti that night. Nobody. That was the hardest hit ball of the night, directly into home plate and straight up in the air.
I've seen one.
You seen a no-hitter?
I've seen a no-hitter in person in the major leagues.
Who was it?
It's you're going to be like, oh, Kent Merker.
Wasn't that a perfect game?
No, it was a no-hit game. It was against the Dodgers. He was pitching for the Braves. And they were It was like 8-0,
right?
One of those sorts of things. And my girlfriend, now wife at the time, it's 8-0 in the 7th or 8th, and she's like, "Can we get out of here? This kind of sucks." And I'm like, "No, not yet. We can't." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Just not yet." And we're sitting there, and then you get to the top of the bottom of the 9th inning. It's at Dodger Stadium, and Merker's out there, and all of a sudden, most of the people in the stadium are on their feet. They're kind of rooting for it.
Sure.
For like you're saying, you want to
history.
see it. And I saw Kent Merker, and it's like, okay, now we can go. And it wasn't Tom Glavine. It wasn't Greg Maddux. It wasn't John Smoltz. It was Kent Merker, who was like the 4th pitcher.
So
on that
I don't
team.
think I'll ever top this. Do you guys remember Mike Scott from the Astros?
Oh, yeah.
He lives in my neighborhood.
Used to
does he?
Yeah. Didn't he used to scuff the ball? Didn't you?
So
have you ever asked him?
I have not asked him, but I've heard
He's a big
so
scuff.
come up. It will
1986, I'm working in Beaumont, Texas, which is about 80 miles outside of Houston. And we would go in about once a homestand to go to Astro games because everybody in our market watched the Astros. So Astros
to work or for fun?
For work.
Okay.
We'd go do a story. We'd interview like 10 guys. We'd run it all week.
Okay.
We'd have stuff in the can for all week. So I would, we'd get a lot out of these trips. So my news director calls me and he goes, "Hey, Astros could clinch the pennant tomorrow night, right?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "And Mike Scott's pitching?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You guys need to go." He goes, "Just in case." He goes, we can milk that for 2 weeks if it happens." Sure enough, we go. Mike Scott is unhittable. They can't get him. He throws a no-hitter on the night they clinch the pennant.
No way.
Wow. Yeah, so a no-hitter and the Astros never won the division ever. And then that was the team that went on to play the Mets.
Oh, that wild game.
In that series.
Like a 15-16
we went,
game.
Yeah, we went to every game.
86.
We went to every game of that series, including the ones in New
great.
York. And they ended up losing in 17 innings in Game 6.
That's right. Oof. Yeah.
But it just, I don't think I'll ever see a no-hitter on the night that you clinch a pennant ever. I mean, I don't think it's ever happened.
No.
Before that.
Do you know off top and how many no-hitters do the Dodgers have? Do you have any idea?
In their history?
In their history.
I'm totally guessing. My guess would be about 10 or 12.
No, more.
I think it's more than that?
More.
Probably about 25. So.
You think it's, Koufax had 4.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Right.
Koufax 4, Kershaw 1, Kevin Gross threw 1.
Ramon
Martinez threw
Hideo
1.
Nomo.
Nomo threw 1.
So they got a handful.
So that's only 8.
Uh-huh.
But the Dodgers
Drysdale, let's say Drysdale had a couple. That's 10. It's probably not 20.
So the reason why I'm asking,
I think it probably is 20. But go ahead. Perfect games. I think there's only one.
Koufax.
Well, did Nomo throw a perfect game?
No, Koufax. I think Koufax is the only one.
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking, so Padres had never thrown a no-hitter
for years. It was the Padres and the Mets until Musgrave did it recently, right?
Musgrove did it recently. Yeah. It was like 2006. You guys remember Chris Young?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Real tall.
6'10" guy.
6'10", right?
He runs the Rangers now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chris Young, I'm at the game, Petco Park. Petco had just opened a couple of years. He's 8 innings in, no-hit ball. And this is in front of your crowd that's never seen a no. It's never happened in franchise history.
Right.
Gets the first out, okay? So now we're 2 outs away from a no-hitter.
Everybody on their feet. Yeah,
Everybody.
Sure.
And there's actually like real nerves. Again, the franchise has never had a no-hitter before. I don't know what the count is. I just remember, sometimes a ball is hit and you're like, yeah, that one's gone.
Yeah.
Like there's no reaction to it at all.
He lost the no-hitter and the perfect game.
Lost the
and the
shutout, lost everything, gives up a 2-run homer, and everybody's just standing there like they didn't know what to do. And they never got. And then what was it? 14 years later that they actually end up getting their no-hitter.
Well,
one in Padres history.
So John was at a Ramon Martinez. Apologies if you heard this story because we told it yesterday. But I had a stalker back in the day.
By the way, this story's going to sound embellished. It's not.
So I had a stalker back in the day. This woman,
strangely female, if she only knew.
This woman just would not let me go. So we were all supposed to take listeners to a Dodger game, and Ramon Martinez was pitching, and I found out that the stalker lady was going to be there. So I said, John, I can't go to the game.
He calls me like 4:30. We're meeting there at like 5:30. He goes, I'm not going.
No.
I went, what are you talking about? He goes, that stalker girl, and we knew her. He goes, that stalker girl's going to be there. My head will explode. I can't go. I go, ooh, that's a tough one. And I might even have said, like, something weird's going to happen. Like the Dodgers are going to throw a no-hitter. But sure enough. Like Ramon Martinez, no-hitter.
It was the stalker's
So to
fault.
this day, I have a deal with Mason. If there is, and we do it in code, if there is a no-hitter 7th inning or later, I have to text him that there's a special game going on and where to watch it.
Yep.
And if it's a perfect game, I have to text him there is a very special game going on. I still do it.
Still, I get them a few times a year.
Answer the question. 26 perfect games in Dodger history, 13 in LA Dodger history.
Okay, but how many no-hitters does it say?
Oh, I didn't say it's one perfect game, 26 no-hitters.
Okay.
So, I said that backwards.
So
but
we were in the
13 in LA Dodger history, 13 in Brooklyn along the way.
Yeah, got it.
So, there are those moments that just kind of stick in there forever and ever. John, you mentioned, you asked if Al and I, if we'd seen the All-Star voting. What have we not seen?
Okay, so they just
yet?
released the new results from the All-Star voting.
Austin Rivers in?
Austin Reeves moved up.
Austin Reeves,
Yeah, he went from 8th to 7th. He's right behind Damian Lillard.
Wow.
No way.
Where's Westbrook?
5th. And AD and LeBron are 1 and 3.
Wow.
I mean, it just
Can you
goes to show you the power of the Lakers.
If Austin Reeves played for the Hornets.
Well, this
just think about it.
Well, this happened to Caruso a few years ago when he played for the Lakers. He was like top 10.
Yeah.
And he was a role player who came off the bench, like Austin.
I don't even know how to vote for the All-Star game. Do you go online?
Yeah,
go to NBA.com.
Do we know anybody who's gone online and actually taken the... I mean, obviously, there's people doing it.
Well, there are certain days I'll do a better job of... It doesn't sound like I need to because the Lakers are getting all the votes.
They need no help.
There are certain days, like they call them triple days, like your vote counts triple.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's the day you want to jump in.
I don't... You guys will remember this, that I have not voted for an all-star team in a long time in anything because you got to do it online. It's going to make me sound super
I
old.
used to love those.
That's what I was going to say, Mace. Go to a
Back in
Dodger
the
game,
day.
get 5 or 6 of them, and get like your dad's keys and start punching holes through
I
them.
was there,
That was
man. I was
terrific.
there.
It's awesome.
But I mean, what's weird is you like Trav. You could figure out the other 3 if I just told you who are the other 3 West All Stars. So in the front court, LeBron and AD are 1 and 3. Steph is leading the guards. Who's the other guard?
Luka.
Oh,
okay.
Right.
And then who's the center?
Jokic.
Right.
Yeah.
So it all goes to form, except when you're talking about the Lakers.
Yeah.
You know, like Anthony Davis could have played like 2 games, and people say he's a Laker. I'm voting for him.
Well, it's a good thing that the record doesn't have anything to do with all-star
No,
voting.
they're 20 and 25.
I know.
Yeah, 20
I know.
25. Coming on.
Are they going to run the tires right off LeBron? I mean, he's been so good.
36 minutes a night.
You're playing nearly 40 minutes a night.
Yeah, they need to though. When they take him out, they just
they
go
don't
into a
I
funk.
get it, but they're playing in those minutes and they're still losing games. It's like the worst of both worlds.
But they have no chance to win without it.
Yeah.
I know.
Is the problem.
Do you just take it on the chin some nights and just say, look, we're just going to run up a white flag and then we're going to fight like hell on...
I don't think they can afford to, man.
Trav, even
I don't think they can
the
afford
Rockets on a back-to-back, LeBron chose to play.
Yeah.
Are you wearing a Kings beanie
Everything.
too?
Kings beanie, Kings jersey.
Bibby
Fan there.
bobblehead.
Go ahead and do whatever you wrong with that.
There's a Bibby bobble. Why does Mike Bibby look like a white guy?
This does not look like Mike Bibby.
No. Oh, man, that is not
That
Mike.
looks awful.
That looks like Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah.
Mason and I had a bobblehead once. We went to a minor league baseball
Shared
game, and it
bobblehead.
was Mason and Ireland, and we're convinced that it doesn't look like either one of us.
Just straight off the rack.
They just grabbed. They go.
Just painted Mason and Ireland
They
on the
did.
base.
Like, I'm going to bring it in one day, or I'll take a picture of it one day, and you'll go, did they just take the old Joe McDonald, Doug Krikorian bobblehead?
And I do look heavy in that bobblehead.
It's like, what the hell?
I'm going to leave that
Yeah,
one alone.
please do.
If the shoe
Please
fits.
do.
No, that's
It does
not.
fit, by
It's
the
not
way.
what I was going to
I
say.
know where you were going.
I was
don't
just
go
going to. I chose not to.
Yeah, smart.
I chose not to.
Smart.
Super Crosstalk is powered by In-N-Out Burger. That's what a hamburger is all about. Mason and Ireland coming up next.
Wake up with Key, J. Will, and Max.